Chapter 4564. Lu Ming used the Great Concealment Technique and hid in the dark to observe. Sure enough, a few hours later, Lu Ming found an opportunity. A burly human left the mine as if he was going to do something. Soon, he left the range of the heavenly human tribe's spiritual sense. Swoosh! Lu Ming rushed out and struck the back of the burly man's head with his palm. Lu Ming controlled his strength very well. He only knocked the burly man unconscious and did not kill him. Lu Ming was also a principled person. The other party had no enmity with him, so he naturally would not kill him easily. Then he waved his hand and sent the burly man into the chaos ring. Then he used the great imitation technique and transformed into the burly man's appearance. Even his life origin aura was exactly the same. Lu Ming was not in a hurry to return to the mine. If the burly man returned as soon as he left the mine, he was afraid that it would arouse the heavenly human tribe's suspicion. Lu Ming waited nearby for a few hours, and then swaggered toward the mine. When he approached the mine, the heavenly human tribe's spiritual sense swept over and circled him once before retracting. Naturally, they did not find any flaws. Lu Ming continued to walk forward as if nothing had happened, and arrived at the mine. This area was full of potholes, and each mine was emitting a hazy light. Many people were going in and out, busy. Lu Ming randomly chose a mine and walked in. In the depths of the mine, he found a large number of humans mining and refining the metal in the ore. It's icy fire star silver. It's actually icy fire star silver. After Lu Ming carefully identified the metal ore, Lu Ming's heart shook violently. He was somewhat in disbelief. The metal contained in the ore here was actually icy fire star silver. Previously, Qiuqiu had mentioned icy fire star silver in detail. When refining a source-level divine weapon, if icy fire star silver was added, the success rate would be greatly increased. It could increase the success rate of refining a source-level divine weapon to 20%. This was because the ice fire star silver could perfectly harmonize all kinds of materials, allowing them to fuse together perfectly, greatly reducing the difficulty of forging a soul-grade weapon. As for Qiuqiu, because it had eaten too many original weapons and main weapons, it had produced a lot of impurities. It was stuck at the top of the 9th Great Supreme God layer. It would take tens of thousands of years to break through to the next level. However, if he had enough ice fire star silver, he could quickly refine the impurities and evolve again. It was truly a case of wearing out iron shoes in a fruitless search, only to find it by chance without any effort. Eat, I want to eat. Qiuqiu was so excited that he kept sending voice transmissions to Lu Ming. No rush, no rush. Let's observe for a while first. It won't be too late to make a move later. Lu Ming said. Only then did Qiuqiu calm down. No, this is... At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly felt a piercing pain on his skin, as if it was being cut by countless blades. Ouch, it hurts. Lu Ming, there's something wrong with the lighting here. Qiuqiu also began to shout. Of course, they were all transmitting their voices through their souls and not through their voices. That's right, the lighting here. Lu Ming also noticed it. The mine was filled with hazy light. This kind of light shone on him, and had a terrifying attacking power. It was going to destroy him completely. Qiuqiu, go into the ancient desolation ring first. Lu Ming thought. Qiuqiu disappeared from his wrist, and went into the ancient desolation ring without anyone noticing. Lu Ming circulated the forbidden energy, and covered his body. Only then did he feel better. However, Lu Ming realized that this kind of light was still attacking the forbidden energy. The forbidden energy didn't completely block it, but was constantly consuming it. If this continued, the forbidden energy would be pierced through sooner or later. What kind of energy is this? It's so terrifying. No, why are these people fine? Lu Ming discovered that the people who were mining here were completely fine. They seemed to be exactly the same as they were in other places. What's going on? This kind of light won't attack them? Lu Ming thought quickly, but he didn't show it on his face. He went to another mine and found that the situation was the same. All the mines had this kind of light. The light wasn't dazzling, but its power was terrifying. In just a short while, a third of Lu Ming's forbidden energy was consumed. This speed was simply astonishing. It gave people the feeling that this kind of light was even more terrifying than the black mist that invaded Lu Ming's body. The The black mist didn't consume the forbidden energy at such a fast speed. What are you doing? Hurry up and get to work. Dawdling here is disrespectful to the gods. If the gods are angry and send down divine punishment, no one can save you. At this moment, a loud shout was heard. A burly man walked over and glared at Lu Ming. He was holding a leather whip in his hand. This burly man was also a human. He seemed to be the manager here. Yes, yes. Lu Ming nodded repeatedly and pretended to go to the side to work. After the manager left, Lu Ming's figure flashed and also left. Lu Ming heaved a long sigh of relief after leaving the mine cave. There wasn't that kind of light outside the mine. The mine contains terrifying light, but the people of the Yen tribe are fine. However, Qiu and I were attacked. Could it be related to the bloodline of the Yen tribe? Thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. He started to speculate based on the clues he had. Although the Yen tribe was also a human, they were born on this continent. In terms of bloodline, they were definitely different from Lu Ming. Perhaps it was because of the bloodline of the Yen tribe that they weren't attacked by that kind of light. If other living beings entered, they would be attacked by that kind of light. Therefore, the heavenly human tribe didn't enter, but stayed outside. Perhaps the heavenly human tribe pretended to be gods and controlled the people on this continent, so that they could dig for ores for them. No, it's just digging for ores. There's no need to go through so much trouble. It's enough to deter them with a powerful force. Moreover, they're still absorbing the power of faith. Lu Ming frowned slightly. Lu Ming still couldn't figure out why they were absorbing the power of faith. Let's leave this place first and observe in secret. Lu Ming thought for a while. Then he used the great imitation art and transformed into the other Yen tribe member he saw in the mine. He swaggered out. There didn't seem to be any restrictions on leaving this place. However, there would be people checking to see if they had secretly taken the Ice Fire Star Silver out. Lu Ming easily passed the check and left the mine area. After leaving the mine area, Lu Ming used the great concealing art again and hid in the dark. He mainly observed the 5 heavenly human tribe members. For the first 2 days, he didn't find anything. On the 3rd day, he finally found something. Another heavenly human tribe member arrived. This heavenly human tribe member had a cultivation of the 2nd level of the Divine Master Realm. When he landed on the tallest mountain peak, the previous 5 celestial race cultivators all nodded and bowed respectfully towards this person. Finally, the 1st level Divine Master heavenly human tribe member took out a storage ring and handed it to the 2nd level Divine Master heavenly human tribe member. Chapter 4565. Could it be that the extracted Ice Fire Star Silver is inside? Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a fiery light. This was very likely. Through his observations over the past few days, he knew that the Ice Fire Star Silver extracted from the mines would be handed over to the 5 celestial beings every day. And now, this 2nd-layer Divine Master expert might also be here to collect the Ice Fire Star Silver. There might be more than one mine on this continent, and the experts of the celestial race were obviously not limited to these few. Therefore, it was reasonable that there would be people collecting the Ice Fire Star Silver from various mines. The 2nd-layer Divine Master heavenly human took the storage ring and checked its contents. He nodded and left. Lu Ming followed him quietly. He could not miss out on the Ice Fire Star Silver. Lu Ming had planned to observe for a few more days before taking action to kill the 5 celestial beings and take the Ice Fire Star Silver from them. Now that the Ice Fire Star Silver might be taken away by this 2nd-layer Divine Master, Lu Ming naturally had his eyes on this person. After following him for a long distance, Lu Ming took action when he passed by a secluded area. Without wasting any time, Lu Ming used the heaven-breaking style, turning into a dazzling ray of light that pierced toward this celestial being. With Lu Ming's strength, this sudden attack gave the other party no chance to retaliate. By the time this celestial being discovered, it was already too late. Poof! This celestial being was pierced by the spear light, his body exploded, and he died on the spot. With a wave of his hand, Lu Ming grabbed this celestial being's storage ring. Then, with a fire, this celestial being's corpse was completely reduced to ashes, leaving no trace behind. Then, with a flash, he left the place. Hundreds of thousands of miles away, Lu Ming took out the storage ring and began to search. There were other storage rings in the storage ring, and Lu Ming patiently looked through them one by one. Lu Ming skimmed through the other items and found nothing. Ice Fire Star Silver. Finally, Lu Ming found the Ice Fire Star Silver in one of the storage rings. With a thought, a longan-sized piece of metal appeared in Lu Ming's hand. The color of the metal was very strange. There were two kinds of light flowing on it. One was crimson red while the other was dark blue. The two lights seemed to blend together without any sense of disharmony. Furthermore, there were specks of light shining on it like starlight. That was why it was called Ice Fire Star Silver. This piece is only about 10 grams. This Ice Fire Star Silver is really light. Lu Ming sighed. The longan-sized piece of Ice Fire Star Silver only weighed about 10 grams. It was not much heavier than cotton. It was rare to see such a light metal. If it was the Black Sky Source Gold, a longan-sized piece would be heavier than a meteorite. Lu Ming checked the storage ring. There were a total of 30 pieces of Ice Fire Star Silver in the storage ring. Each piece was about 10 grams. 30 yuan added up to 300 grams. 300 grams wasn't even enough to refine a source-grade divine weapon. Refining a source-grade divine weapon required about half a kilogram. As for Qiu, if he wanted to completely neutralize the impurities in his body, he would need 5 kilograms. This was far from enough. Eat, eat, I want to eat. Qiu cried out impatiently. Here. Lu Ming gave all 30 pieces of Ice Fire Star Silver to Qiu, who swallowed them in one gulp. Then, Qiu showed a satisfied expression. Delicious, really delicious. Unfortunately, there's too little. It's not enough for me to neutralize the impurities. I think there's more than one mine. Let's go to other places and see if there are any other mines. Lu Ming said. He then used the great imitation art to transform into the second layer Divine Master Heavenly Human, and swaggered off in a certain direction. Of course, before he left, he let out the Yen tribe man that he had placed in the primitive ring. This continent was too vast. He flew for more than a day before he finally found a mine. There really is another mine. I wonder if the metal in this mine is Ice Fire Star Silver. Let's go take a look. Lu Ming thought as he swaggered toward the tallest mountain. He had already discovered that there were 5 heavenly human race experts on this mountain. 1 first-layer Divine Master and 4 ninth-layer Divine Emperor, heavenly human elders. As Lu Ming landed, the 5 heavenly human race experts hurriedly bowed. Hand over your harvest during this time to me, Lu Ming said in a commanding tone. Why did Lord Yu come to collect Ice Fire Star Silver this month? Wasn't it always Lord Wuxia? The first-layer Divine Master Heavenly Human asked in surprise. It really is Ice Fire Star Silver. Lu Ming inwardly rejoiced, but he did not show it on his face. Wuxia just happened to have some matters to attend to and needs to enter seclusion, so I'll do it in his place. However, there are still 3 days before the 1-month deadline. Lord Yiling Tianshou has set a rule that every mine will only collect the Ice Fire Star Silver after the 30-day deadline. Lord Yu has come to collect it ahead of time. It seems to be against the rules. I'd better ask Lord Yiling Tianshou first. The first-layer Divine Master Heavenly Human said. He then took out a message transmission jade talisman, and prepared to send a message. He did not suspect that this Lord Yu in front of him was someone else in disguise. He just felt that it was against the rules and was afraid of being punished, so he decided to ask the true manager of this continent, Yiling Tianshou. They're really seeking death. Lu Ming inwardly sighed. Originally, if these people handed over the Ice Fire Star Silver to him, he would retreat and not do anything. He did not want to alert the enemy and make it harder to get more Ice Fire Star Silver. But now, these people wanted to send a message to the heavenly human race above, so Lu Ming had no choice but to act. Vish. Lu Ming struck, his finger like a spear, pointing at the first-layer Divine Master's forehead. This person had never imagined that Lu Ming would suddenly attack him, so he simply could not dodge. In truth, even if he knew that Lu Ming was going to attack him, he would not have been able to dodge. The difference in power between the two was too great. Plush. Blood splattered everywhere. The man's forehead was pierced, and his soul was annihilated in an instant. His eyes widened in disbelief, as if he could not believe that Lu Ming would suddenly attack him. With a thud, the man's corpse fell to the ground. The other 4 ninth-layer Great God Realm Elders of the heavenly human race were stunned. They stared blankly at Lu Ming, forgetting to run. Vish! 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 Lu Ming flicked his finger and 4 spear lights shot out, killing the 4 ninth-layer Great God Realm Elders of the heavenly human race. The 4 heavenly human race elders were severely injured, and they were unable to fight anymore. Then, with a wave of his hand, he put the 5 heavenly human race elders into the ancient desolation ring. The reason why Lu Ming spared the 4 heavenly human elders was that Lu Ming had some questions to ask these heavenly humans. Also, Lu Ming wanted to find out the exact location of the other mines, so that he would not fly around like a headless fly. Chapter 45-66. After packing up, Lu Ming didn't leave. Instead, he stayed at the peak of the mountain and condensed his spiritual consciousness in the ancient desolation ring. He appeared in front of the 4 severely injured heavenly human tribe elders. "Lord Yu, why did you attack us?" "Why?" One of the heavenly human tribe elders roared. "Nonsense! How can I hand over such a precious treasure like the ice fire star silver?" Lu Ming sneered. He was still pretending to be Lord Yu. The great imitation technique was very mysterious. It could even imitate the condensation of spiritual consciousness. You want to take the ice fire star silver for yourself. If Lord Yiling Tianshou finds out about this, you will end up in a miserable state." It was still the heavenly human tribe elder who roared furiously. He looked as if he was filled with righteous indignation. Bang! Lu Ming took a step forward, and the head of the elder from the heavenly human tribe exploded like a watermelon. His soul was also annihilated by this step. The faces of the remaining 3 old men turned pale. "I'm not here to listen to your threats, and I'm too lazy to talk nonsense with you. Now what are you going to answer me when I ask you? Why is there a strange light in the mine? Wasn't that kind of light harmful to other living beings, but harmless to the Yin tribe?" Lu Ming asked. Although he could guess many things, they were only his guesses and needed to be confirmed. "You don't even know this? You're not Lord Yu. Who are you?" One of the elders shouted. Why would the real Lord Yu ask such a question? They were all old men who had lived for countless years. They knew that Lu Ming was definitely not the real Lord Yu, but a fake. "I'm the one asking you now, not you. Do you want to die?" Lu Ming glanced at the elder coldly. The elder couldn't help but shiver and reveal a look of fear. Lu Ming's ruthless means were still vivid in his mind. "I'll give you 3 breaths to answer my question. Otherwise, I'll choose one of you to kill," Lu Ming said coldly. The cold killing intent let the 3 heavenly human tribe elders know that Lu Ming wasn't joking. 1 breath, 2 breaths. The fear in the eyes of the 3 heavenly human tribe elders became even more intense. "I'll talk. I'll tell you everything." One of the elders couldn't take it anymore and shouted. These heavenly human tribe elders were at the end of their lifespans. They were prepared to die when they entered the ruins of the universe. However, they couldn't control the fear in their hearts when death's door. The light in the mine it's extremely terrifying. Even divine masters can't last for long. We speculate that this should be related to the Flame Clan's bloodline. After all, the Flame Clan was born on this continent, and is one with the continent. That's why that light would not attack the Flame Clan. As for how that light was formed, we do not know either. We can only guess that it should be related to the previous epoch. That is why we controlled the people of the Yin clan to mine for us. The elder's answer was more detailed than Lu Ming's. "Oh, then how many mines have you discovered that have those precious metal materials? Where are they?" Lu Ming asked a few more questions. "We have 36 mines and they're all made of ice fire star silver. There's no other metal on this continent except for ice fire star silver. As for the specific distribution, I have a map here with detailed markings on it." An elder answered first. He then took out a jade talisman and handed it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming waved his hand and took the jade talisman. He injected forbidden energy into it, and the jade talisman shone, projecting a map in the air. There were many routes and some special markings on it, marking the various mines very clearly. They're all ice fire star silver mines. There are 36 of them. This continent is a priceless treasure. Lu Ming's heart pounded. How much ice fire star silver did this continent contain? The value of so much ice fire star silver was immeasurable. Adding ice fire star silver to an soul-level divine weapon could greatly increase the success rate. It was even more valuable than many of the materials used to refine soul-level divine weapons. What made Lu Ming happy was that the 5 kilograms of ice fire star silver that Qiu needed was no longer an extravagant hope. How many experts does the heavenly human race have on this continent? What's the cultivation level of the strongest? Lu Ming continued to ask. This continent is called the Heavenly Star Continent. It's the core of the Heavenly Star Zone, so most of our experts in the Heavenly Star Zone are gathered on this continent. There are several hundred of them. The strongest is Lord Yiling Tianxiu, a 7th-tier divine master. An elder said. 7th-tier divine master. Lu Ming's heart trembled violently. This was a high-level divine master. He was much stronger than him. If he encountered him, he would probably be killed in one move. It seemed that he had been right to keep a low profile. He was no match for the heavenly human race in a head-on confrontation. Also, why are you absorbing the power of faith here? Lu Ming asked the question that was bothering him the most. We don't know the details. We only know that it seems to be related to the ancestral mountain. An elder of the heavenly human race said. The ancestral mountain? Lu Ming frowned. The Sea sect once said that the ancestors of the Yen tribe came from the ancestral mountain. It was the ancestral mountain that gave birth to the Yen tribe. Now that the heavenly human race was absorbing the power of faith, it was related to the ancestral mountain. What were they trying to do? Unfortunately, these elders of the heavenly human race did not know much. Then, Lu Ming asked a few more questions and left the chaos ring. As for the 3 elders of the heavenly human race, Lu Ming did not kill them for the time being. If he thought of any questions, he could ask them. Lu Ming took out the storage rings of the heavenly human race and looked through them one by one. Finally, Lu Ming found 27 pieces of ice fire star silver in one of the storage rings. Each of these 27 pieces of ice fire star silver was bigger than the one Lu Ming had obtained before. The weight of each piece was 15 grams. It seems that this mine is even bigger and contains even more ice fire star silver. It can produce 15 grams a day. Very good. Lu Ming smiled and then gave all 27 pieces of ice fire star silver to Qiu. Qiu showed a satisfied expression. Although ice fire star silver was extremely precious, Lu Ming felt his heart ache when he gave it to Qiu. But compared to Qiu's breakthrough, this was worth it. Once Qiu broke through and reached the Divine Master realm, its ability to sense and excavate metals would greatly increase. In the future, it would be able to find even more precious metals for him. Moreover, Qiu's fighting strength would also skyrocket and become a great help to him. Chapter 4567. Lu Ming did not leave. Instead, he used the great imitation art to transform into the first-layer Divine Lord and sat down cross-legged. This was because there were still 3 days before Lord Wuxia, who had come to collect the ice fire star silver, would arrive. If he came and discovered that the 5 celestial race members had gone missing, he would definitely report it. At that time, the various mines would conduct a strict investigation. In that case, it would be more difficult for him to obtain more ice fire star silver. Therefore, Lu Ming had to wait here for 3 days to get rid of Lord Wuxia. Although the news would be leaked sooner or later, and the celestial race would realize that something was wrong, it would at least give Lu Ming more time. The next day, Lu Ming saw someone in the mine heading toward the mountain peak. It was an old man. He should be the manager of the mine. When he reached the mountain peak, he respectfully knelt on the ground and placed a jade box on the ground. Lord God, the ice fire star silver excavated yesterday is all here. Okay, I know. You may leave. Lu Ming imitated the voice of the celestial race and spoke in a dignified voice. Yes. The other party respectfully retreated. Lu Ming grabbed the jade box in the air and opened it. There was a piece of ice fire star silver inside. It weighed about 15 grams. Lu Ming casually threw it to Qiu. On the 2nd and 3rd days, the old man would deliver a piece of ice fire star silver, each of which was about 15 grams. Lu Ming gave both to Qiu. This way, Qiu ate a total of 750 grams of ice fire star silver, which was only 1.5 caddies. It was still far from 10 caddies. On the third day, not long after the old man delivered the ice fire star silver, a figure appeared in the distant sky. It was a middle-aged celestial race man. Needless to say, Lu Ming knew that this was Lord Wuxin. Lord Wuxin landed on the mountain peak and glanced at Lu Ming. He frowned and said, "Yechu Mountain, why are you alone? Where are the others?" "Lord Wuxin, the other 4 had something to do and left for a while. They will be back soon," Lu Ming said. "Oh, so that's how it is. Give me your ice fire star silver," Lord Wuxin said. Yes. Lu Ming pretended to take the ice fire star silver, but he was actually planning to attack. But at this time, Lord Wuxin made the first move. A saber appeared in his hand, and he slashed towards Lu Ming's head. He had the cultivation of the second layer of the Divine Master Realm. His speed was as fast as lightning, and his might was terrifying. The forbidden power circulated on its own, and gathered on the palm of his hand. Then it slashed upward. Dang! Lu Ming's palm collided with the opponent's saber, causing a violent explosion. Lu Ming's palm went numb, and he couldn't help but retreat a few steps. Just now, Lu Ming had acted hastily and did not use much strength. Furthermore, the other party had used a main-grade divine weapon. That was why Lu Ming had been forced back. "You can actually take one of my attacks without being injured. Very good. No wonder you are so daring to pretend to be a member of the celestial race," Lord Wuxin said coldly. "How do you know I'm a fake?" Lu Ming asked. His great imitation technique should be flawless. Unless a heavenly venerable came in person, no one would be able to see through it. "Because I'm not Wuxin at all. Wuxin has something to do these days, so I came to collect the ice fire star silver. But you thought I was Wuxin. Tell me, are you a fake?" The other party sneered. Lu Ming was speechless. He had casually said that Wuxin had something to do and had gone into seclusion. He didn't expect it to come true. The world was really unpredictable. "Tell me, who are you? How did you impersonate a member of the celestial race?" The other party said coldly. His aura and killing intent were getting stronger and stronger. "What if I don't tell you?" Lu Ming said indifferently. He just didn't expect the other party to suddenly attack. Otherwise, with the other party's strength, he wouldn't have taken him seriously. "If you don't tell me, die," the other party shouted coldly. His aura exploded, and his saber slashed towards Lu Ming's head. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. His hand glowed as if it had turned into a long spear. This time Lu Ming was prepared. His palm contained a terrifying power. Clang! There was the sound of metal clashing. Then the other party's body trembled violently. He retreated continuously and spat out a mouthful of blood. This person had been injured by the recoil. Your strength." The other party's eyes widened as he stared at Lu Ming in shock. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Originally, he thought that Lu Ming was only a first-tier divine master. With his second-tier divine master cultivation, he could easily kill Lu Ming. He didn't expect Lu Ming to suddenly erupt with earth-shattering strength that completely surpassed him. "You want to kill me with your strength? I'll send you on your way," Lu Ming said coldly. The war god's spear appeared in his hand, and he thrust it forward. It was too fast, so fast that the other party couldn't even dodge. He could only take it head-on. But the result of taking it head-on was that this person's saber shattered and his body was pierced. Then he was torn to pieces and died. In a head-on clash, even a third-tier divine master of the heavenly human race would be killed by Lu Ming in a single blow, let alone a second-tier divine master. After killing this person, he sent his broken body into the primordial desolate ring. As the two of them exchanged a few blows, it caused a huge commotion. The nearby mine was also alarmed. Several people hurried over. Lu Ming stepped into the air and stood in midair. His body exuded a powerful aura and dazzling light. A vast pressure enveloped the entire mine. "God! It's God! God has appeared. Greetings, God." The people in the mine, as well as several managers, respectfully knelt down and prostrated themselves on the ground. They didn't dare to look directly at Lu Ming. Some of the bolder ones stole glances at Lu Ming. All they saw was that Lu Ming was enveloped in boundless divine light. His divine might was vast and unfathomable. There's no need to panic. I was cultivating just now and caused the commotion. Go back and continue working. Lu Ming's dignified voice resounded throughout the area. So that's how it was. Everyone understood. It turned out that the commotion was caused by God's cultivation. God is invincible. God, please protect us. The Yen tribe members respectfully kowtowed and retreated, returning to the mine to continue mining. The heavenly human race is really like a god in the Yen tribe's eyes. They can't be offended. Lu Ming inwardly shook his head. But this way, he could temporarily conceal it. After dismissing the Yen tribe members in the mine, Lu Ming took out a map and looked at it. Then he turned into a beam of light and flew toward the nearest mine. When he neared the mine, he waited for a day. Then he transformed into Lord Yu and went to collect Ice Fire Star Silver. He learned from the 3 heavenly human race elders that each mine collected Ice Fire Star Silver on different days. The same thing was that they all collected it once a month. This way, Lu Ming had an opportunity to take advantage of. Chapter 4568. And Lu Ming learned that there were a total of 3 people collecting the Ice Fire Star Silver. Each of them was in charge of 12 mines. Lord Yu was one of them, and Lord Wuxia was also one of them. The other was the middle-aged man that Lu Ming had killed before. And the mine in front of him was also in charge of Lord Wuxia. However, Lu Ming had never seen this Lord Wuxia before, so he couldn't use the great imitation skill to imitate him, so he simply turned into Lord Yu. When Lu Ming arrived, the guard of the heavenly human tribe naturally asked about Lord Wuxia. Lu Ming casually found a reason to dodge it. He got the Ice Fire Star Silver very smoothly. This time, there were more than 300 grams in total. After throwing it to Chiao, Lu Ming continued to fly to the nearest mine according to the map. The timings of these mines were different because even Lord Yu and the others couldn't visit all the mines in one day. Therefore, the timings were different, which also made it convenient for Lu Ming. Of course, Lu Ming couldn't arrive at all the mines on time. He would arrive at some mines later, but this wasn't a big deal. It was easy to find an excuse to get away with it. In the end, Lu Ming spent more than 10 days to visit all 36 mines, and collected about 20 kilograms of Ice Fire Star Silver. This was a huge harvest. Because refining a source-level magic weapon only required 1 kilogram of Ice Fire Star Silver, 20 kilograms could be used to refine 20 source-level magic weapons. This was only a month's harvest. One could imagine how much Ice Fire Star Silver the heavenly human tribe had harvested here. It should be known that Ice Fire Star Silver was priceless in the primitive universe. Of course, refining source-level magic weapons didn't only require Ice Fire Star Silver. Ice Fire Star Silver was only used as a blending agent to blend various materials. Refining source-level magic weapons required other main materials. The other main materials were also extremely precious. It was extremely difficult to gather the materials to refine 20 source-level magic weapons. However, as long as he had enough Ice Fire Star Silver, he wouldn't have to worry about it. Especially for huge forces like the Heavenly Palace or the Heaven Destroyer. Many of them were adventuring in the ruins of the universe to search for treasures. After a period of time, he would be able to gather enough materials to forge a source-level divine weapon. As long as he had enough Ice Fire Star Silver on hand, as long as he gathered all the materials needed to refine a soul-grade divine weapon, he could start refining it. Moreover, the success rate was as high as 20%. To a large force, this was of great significance. After years of accumulation, the number of source-level divine weapons would increase. It would also greatly increase the strength of a force. Currently, neither the Heavenly Palace nor the Heaven Destroyer could give every reciprocity expert a source-grade weapon. Indeed, not every reciprocity expert in the Heavenly Palace possessed an soul-grade weapon. This was especially true for those reciprocity experts who weren't from the Heavenly Human clan. Many of them only used master-grade weapons. However, if the Heavenly Human clan possessed a large amount of Ice Fire Star Silver, after a long period of accumulation, it was really possible for every person to have a soul-grade weapon, or even a few. In that case, the reciprocity experts in the Heavenly Palace would completely crush the Heaven Destroyer. Lu Ming naturally thought of this as well. No, this continent is very important. I have to find a way to get it. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. However, he had a question. This continent contained so much ice fire star silver. Its importance was unquestionable. It was definitely a weapon that could affect the war. However, it would take a long time. For such an important place, the strongest expert of the heavenly human clan was only a 7th layer divine master? Were they not afraid of the heaven destroyer taking it away? Even if they sent a few reciprocity experts to guard it, it would not be too much. There was only one possibility. Lu Ming pondered. It was very likely that Yiling Tianshou wanted to take all the ice fire star silver for himself, so he chose not to report it. The upper echelons of the heavenly palace did not know there was so much ice fire star silver here. After all, this area was newly developed by the heavenly human clan. If that's really the case, I might be able to find a way to control this continent. Lu Ming's eyes burned with passion. However, Yiling Tianshou was a 7th layer divine master. He was not someone he could deal with. He had to think about it at length. If it really didn't work, Lu Ming would return and pass the news to Fei Huang. It was fine for Fei Huang to control this continent. It was better than letting the heavenly palace take advantage of it. As he pondered, he flew toward the village where the sea sect was located. That's right. Lu Ming planned to hide in the village where the sea sect was located first, and wait for Qiuqiu to evolve before making his next move. He had plundered all the ice fire star silver in the 36 mines. He believed that the heavenly human clan, or Yiling Tianshou, would soon discover something unusual. At that time, the continent would not be peaceful. Therefore, hiding in a remote mountain village was the best option. Lu Ming increased his speed to the maximum and flew straight. A few days later, Lu Ming returned to the village where the sea sect was located, and appeared in the courtyard where he had lived before. Brother Tianyan, you're back. I thought you left. The moment he saw Lu Ming, sea sect was very happy. Lu Ming had been gone for more than 20 days. He thought that Lu Ming had left without saying goodbye. I need a few materials to heal my injuries. I went out to look for them. Lu Ming smiled. Brother Tianyan, your injuries are almost healed. Sea-Sec said. Yes, it's almost done. Lu Ming nodded. That's great. Sea-Sec was full of smiles. He was happy for Lu Ming. What a simple-minded young man. After chatting with Sea-Sec for a while, Lu Ming returned to his room and placed Qiuqiu on the ground. Lu Ming had already given Qiuqiu 5 kilograms of ice fire star silver. According to Qiuqiu's estimation, 5 kilograms of ice fire star silver was enough. Next, it was to wait for the impurities to be mixed and evolve. According to Qiuqiu, it would not take too long. Lu Ming planned to wait for Qiuqiu to evolve before taking the next step. As for himself, he sat cross-legged and continued to use the chaos ring as a reference to comprehend the chaos style. He sighed in his heart. He did not have any chaos crystals. Otherwise, he could take the opportunity to break through to the 2nd level of the Divine Master realm. He had also questioned a few elders of the Heavenly Human clan, and learned that there were chaos crystals in the Ice Fire Star mines, but there were very few of them. A mine would usually only excavate one piece every few years. Only one piece was produced every few years. That was too little. However, Lu Ming felt that it was a little strange. This continent was so prosperous and had given birth to such a large race like the Yan clan. It should have contained chaos crystals. Could it be that the chaos crystals were not in the Ice Fire Star Silver, but somewhere else that the Heavenly Human clan could not find? Let's wait for this storm to blow over before I ask around. Lu Ming felt that this continent was not as simple as it seemed. It contained unknown secrets. Chapter 4569. At this moment, in the central region of the Heavenly Star continent, there was a luxurious palace. Above the palace sat a dignified figure, but his face was gloomy. This person was Yiling Tianshou. The hall was extremely oppressive. The other heavenly humans did not even dare to breathe loudly. Who can tell me what's going on? Why hasn't this month's Ice Fire Star Silver been collected? Yiling Tianshou's cold voice rang out in the hall. The others lowered their heads, not daring to speak. In the Heavenly Star continent, Yiling Tianshou was the local tyrant. Anyone who dared to offend him would end up in a miserable state. Where are Yi Lingyu, Yi Lingwuxin, and Yi Lingchu? I sent them to collect the Ice Fire Star Silver. Why isn't anyone here? Give me an answer. Yiling Tianshou's voice became heavier. He was clearly very unhappy. My lord, Yi Lingwuxin is in seclusion. The ones in charge of collecting the Ice Fire Star Silver this month are Yi Lingyu and Yi Lingchu. At this moment, an elder bowed and said, this person had a 5th-level Divine Master cultivation, and was one of the strongest people under Yiling Tianshou. Then where are the two of them? Why haven't they come to see me? Yiling Tianshou asked. My lord, we haven't seen Yi Lingyu and Yi Lingchu return during this period of time. Furthermore, no one has responded to our messages. They didn't send any messages, the elder reported. They haven't returned? No one replied to my messages? Yiling Tianshou frowned and pondered for a moment. Go, call the people in charge of the 36 mines here. I have something to ask them. Yes. The old man accepted the order respectfully. Then he retreated and began to transmit his voice. The others waited in the main hall. This wait lasted for a few days. The people in charge of the other mines hurried over. Not all of the people in charge of the 36 mines were first-level Divine Masters. In fact, only a few mines had Divine Masters overseeing them. Even in the Heavenly Palace, there were not many Divine Masters. Among the hundreds of heavenly humans led by Yiling Tianshou, there were only 20 or so Divine Masters. These people bowed respectfully when they saw Yiling Tianshou. Why is one person missing? Yiling Tianshou looked around and found that only 35 of the 36 people had come. Lord Tianshou, the person in charge of the Qishan mine, has not replied. The old man at the 5th layer of the Divine Master realm replied. No reply? A trace of gloominess flashed across Yiling Tianshou's eyes as he said, Go, send someone to investigate. Yes. The old man at the 5th level of the Divine Master realm received the order and sent someone to the Qishan mine. The Qishan mine was where Lu Ming had killed or captured all 5 heavenly humans who were guarding the mine. Naturally, no one would return. Have you handed in all your Ice Fire Star Silver for this month? Yiling Tianshou looked at the 35 people in charge below the hall. Lord Tianshou, I've already handed over all the Ice Fire Star Silver to Lord Yu, said a first-layer Divine Master in charge. I've also handed mine over to Master Yi Lingchu. Mine too. I also gave it to Lord Chu. The other people in charge also replied one after another, either handing it over to Lord Yu or Lord Chu. Are you sure? If anyone dares to lie to me, you know what will happen to them, Yiling Tianshou said coldly. Yiling Tianshou said coldly. His long and narrow eyes were filled with killing intent. The people in charge all paled. They were well aware of how vicious and merciless Yiling Tianshou was. Lord Tianshou, I can swear on my life origin that everything I said is true. Me too. I also swear on my life origin that if I'm lying, I'll be at Lord Tianshou's mercy. The others also began to cry out in order to prove their innocence. Okay, I believe all of you. You're all dismissed. Yiling Tianshou waved his hand, and the 35 people in charge withdrew. Lord Tianshou, could it be that Yi Lingyu and Yi Lingchu wanted to stuff their pockets with the Ice Fire Star Silver and then leave? The old man at the 5th level of the Divine Master realm said. Ice Fire Star Silver was too precious, and anyone would covet it. Impossible. The two of them wouldn't dare betray me. Their lives are in my hands. Yiling Tianshou said. That's true. The Divine Master realm elder nodded. Yiling Tianshou had mastered a terrifying poison art. His subordinates were all under his control, and no one dared to resist. As long as he used his poison art, those poisoned would suffer a fate worse than death. Lu Ming's guess was correct. Yiling Tianshou had not reported the large amount of Ice Fire Star Silver to the upper echelons of the Heavenly Palace. He had wanted to keep it for himself. He had dared to do so for 2 reasons. One was that he had used his poison art to control all his subordinates. These people would not dare to betray him, nor would they dare to spread the news. The other reason was that Yiling Tianshou's father was a powerful celestial sovereign of the Heavenly Palace. With such a powerful backer, even if something went wrong, he would have someone to back him up. It seems that someone else from the Stellar Sky continent has already infiltrated. The most likely possibility is that after Yi Lingyu and Yi Lingchu collected the icy fiery star silver, they were killed on their way back and the icy fiery star silver was stolen. Yiling Tianshou said. He had never imagined that Lu Ming had impersonated Yi Lingyu and Yi Lingchu. Someone else? Could it be someone from the Heaven Destroyer? The various races of the universe probably don't have the guts. The elder of the 5th-level Divine Lord Realm grimaced. No matter who it is, only death awaits those who dare oppose me. Later on, all of you 3rd-level Divine Lords and above are to patrol the mines. If you find anyone suspicious, kill them on sight. Also mobilize the people of the Yen race, and find anyone suspicious. As long as they're not from the Yen race, report to me, Yiling Tianshou said. Yes. Yes. The elder of the 5th-level Divine Lord Realm, and the others left with this order. Not long after, Yiling Tianshou received news that the 5 heavenly human race experts guarding the Qishan mine had gone missing. This made him even more certain that someone else had infiltrated. You don't dare to act openly, and only know how to hide in the shadows. It seems that your strength is limited. As long as you're still on the Heavenly Star continent, I'll find you, Yiling Tianshou coldly said. The entire continent began to tremble. The god had issued a divine decree that anyone who was not from the Yen race was to report to him. The village where the Ocean sect was located naturally received the divine decree as well. Unfortunately, Yiling Tianshou had not expected that Lu Ming was also from the human race. The Yen race was also from the human race, and it was impossible to tell them apart from their auras. Thus, the people of the Ocean sect's village believed that Lu Ming was also from the Yen race, and did not place him on their list of suspects. It was no wonder that Yiling Tianshou had not expected this. In truth, the human race was not very strong in the primitive universe, and there were very few experts. Although the Forbidden Sword ancestor, Tang Feng, had appeared and was unparalleled, that was only an extremely rare example. Thus, Yiling Tianshou had never imagined that the person who had entered the Heavenly Star continent was also a human. Chapter 4570. It was raging outside, but Lu Ming's days were very peaceful. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. No one had come to disturb Lu Ming. As for Qiuqiu, it was constantly evolving. After half a month, Lu Ming could clearly feel that Qiuqiu was different. A mysterious light was constantly flowing out of its round body, and the aura it emitted was becoming purer and stronger. Lu Ming estimated that Qiuqiu wasn't far from breaking through. Suddenly, a noise came from outside. Lu Ming immediately knew that it was Haizong arguing with someone else. Lu Ming spread out his spiritual sense, and clearly saw the situation outside. The one arguing with Haizong was a youth in his 20s. His face was filled with arrogance. Lu Ming recognized this youth. He was the village chief's son Haifeng. Haifeng led 2 middle-aged men to surround Haizong. Haizong, give me that red stone today. Leaving such a treasure in your hands is just a waste. It won't be of any use. Haifeng's gaze swept over Haizong, revealing a greedy expression. Don't even think about it. That red stone is the only thing my grandfather left me. Don't even think about giving it to you. Haizong roared, glaring at Haifeng. Haizong, don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. If you offend me, you won't have a good ending. Haifeng coldly shouted, his eyes cold. Haifeng, I advise you to give up. Don't keep asking me for the Crimson Stone. If you want the Crimson Stone, you have to kill me. But let me tell you, the Crimson Stone is hidden in a secret place. Even if you kill me, you won't get it. Haizong roared. You. Haifeng was furious. His cold eyes swept over Haizong's body. He really wanted to cut Haizong in half, but once he thought about how he wouldn't be able to get the red stone if he killed Haizong, he could only suppress his murderous intent. However, he couldn't vent his anger without a place to vent it. Boom. Haifeng attacked, sending a punch at Haizong. The sound of a fist exploding rang out. Its power was astonishing. Haifeng's cultivation was much stronger than Haizong's. He had reached the peak of the Heavenly Emperor realm. Haizong was definitely not his match. Inside the room, Lu Ming's eyes flashed, but he didn't make a move in the end. He could tell that Haifeng didn't want to kill Haizong. As long as they didn't kill Haizong, Lu Ming didn't need to do anything. Everyone had their own path to walk, and had to experience certain things, and experience certain trials and tribulations. If he interfered in the slightest, then it wouldn't do any good to the growth of the Seawater sect. As long as his life was not in danger, there was no need for him to make a move. Haizong roared angrily as he raised his fist to block. However, he was no match for Haifeng. Their fists collided, and a cracking sound rang out as Haizong's hand was broken. He staggered backward. Haifeng followed, slamming his fist into Haizong's stomach. Haizong let out a muffled groan as he was sent flying. He slammed into the ground and coughed up several mouthfuls of blood. Haizong, be a good boy and hand over the crimson stones to me. Fawning on me will be beneficial to you. If you go against me, you'll end up in a miserable state. I won't kill you today, but I'll give you some time to think about it. Let's go. Haifeng coldly shouted and left with the two big men. Haizong wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and staggered to his feet. With a creak, Lu Ming opened the door and walked out. Big brother Tianyan, I'm sorry for disturbing your recovery, Haizong said with some interest. It's fine. How are your injuries? Lu Ming asked. It's nothing. They're just minor injuries. I'll be fine in a few days. Haizong smiled. Then, as if his wounds had been torn open, he sucked in a breath of cold air and grimaced. Take this pill. It'll help you heal. Lu Ming took out a healing pill and handed it to Haizong. Haizong nodded and swallowed the pill. Immediately, a warm current spread through his body, gathering towards his wounds. He could clearly feel that the broken bones in his hand were healing at an astonishing speed. This effect caused the Sea sect to be shocked. Big brother Tianyan, this pill is very precious. Isn't it a waste for you to give it to me? Haizong originally thought that what Lu Ming gave him was just an ordinary pill. He didn't expect the effect to be so amazing. He knew it must be an extraordinary pill. It's fine. I still have a lot of such pills. Lu Ming smiled. What he gave Haizong was just an ordinary king-level healing pill. It was very useful for divine kings. Lu Ming had as many of such pills as he wanted. Haizong's cultivation was only at the Heavenly Emperor realm. For him, a king-level divine pill's effect was naturally heaven-defying. In just a short while, Haizong's injuries were almost 70% healed. This stunned Haizong. This was the first time he had seen such a heaven-defying medicinal effect. Haizong, what happened just now? Lu Ming asked curiously. This. Haizong hesitated. It's fine. If it's inconvenient, you don't have to say. Lu Ming said. No, actually, there's nothing inconvenient. It's all because of the Crimson Stone. That person just now is the village chief's son. He has always been thinking about my Crimson Stone. He wants to get my Crimson Stone, but he has never succeeded. Haizong said. Crimson Stone? Lu Ming whispered. Yes, the Crimson Stone is the only keepsake my grandfather left to me. Grandfather liked to travel the world when he was young. It is said that grandfather found the Crimson Stone near the ancestral mountain. It is said that it contains a big secret, so Haifeng has always wanted to get it. But why would I give it to him? This is what grandfather left to me, Haizong said. At the mention of Haifeng, he gnashed his teeth. Ancestral mountain, Lu Ming whispered. His heart shook. Since coming to the Heavenly Star continent, he had heard the term ancestral mountain many times. Legend has it that the earliest ancestor of the Yen clan came from the ancestral mountain. It was even said that the Yen clan was born from the ancestral mountain, and the Celestial clan collected the power of faith for the ancestral mountain. What secrets did the ancestral mountain contain? It seems that I have to make a trip to the ancestral mountain, Lu Ming thought in his heart. Here, this is it. As he spoke, Haizong took out a red stone from his bosom. The red stone was the color of blood. It was about the size of a broad bean and looked very ordinary. You hid the Crimson Stone in your bosom? Lu Ming was a little tongue-tied. He really thought that Haizong had hidden the Crimson Stone in some secret place. The most dangerous place is the safest place. Haifeng would never dream that the Crimson Stone was on me, so he never searched me. Haizong said. Lu Ming revealed a trace of admiration. Haizong was really a little bit of a wise man. Can I see it? Lu Ming asked. To be honest, he was really curious about the crimson stone that came from the ancestral mountain. Of course. Haizong generously handed the crimson stone to Lu Ming. Lu Ming held it in his hand and carefully examined it. It looked very ordinary and he couldn't see anything special about it. Then Lu Ming injected forbidden power. The crimson stone trembled slightly and returned to normal. Chapter 45-71. Lu Ming studied it for a while but didn't find anything. Big brother Tianyun, did you find anything? Haizong asked with hope in his eyes. No, Lu Ming shook his head. He had secretly asked Guemo, hoping that the knowledgeable Guemo could find something. However, Guemo didn't find anything either. He speculated that the crimson stone was probably something from the previous era, and it was beyond his knowledge. Lu Ming returned the crimson stone to Haizong. Grandpa studied it his whole life, but he didn't find anything. He gave it to me, hoping that I could find something. However, I've been carrying it with me for many years, but I didn't find anything. It seems that it's just an ordinary stone. Haizong was a little disappointed and put the crimson stone away. Even if it was just an ordinary stone, it was still something his grandpa left him. He would take good care of it and never give it to Haifeng. While they were chatting, Haizong's injuries were almost healed. The two chatted for a while more, and then Lu Ming returned to his room. Another 10 days passed in a hurry. On this day, Qiuqiu's body suddenly emitted a powerful aura. Lu Ming quickly put Qiuqiu into the ancient desolation ring to avoid alerting others. Lu Ming's spiritual consciousness appeared in the ancient desolation ring. Boom! A powerful aura erupted from Qiuqiu's body. His body floated in the air, emitting dazzling rays of light. These rays of light were dazzling. In the light, Qiuqiu's body kept squirming and changing. It turned into a spear, then a sword, then a halberd, then a mirror. In the end, it turned into a ball, and his aura reached its peak. Divine Lord! Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Qiuqiu had finally broken through. He was indeed stuck at the 9th level of the Divine Lord realm, because of the impurities. Now that he had used 5 kilograms of icy fire star silver to neutralize the impurities, it took him less than a month to break through and enter the Divine Lord realm. After breaking through, Qiuqiu's evolution didn't stop. A powerful aura emanated from his body. It was as if his body contained boundless energy. This guy is still improving, still breaking through. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He knew that Qiuqiu had devoured quite a few damaged source-grade divine weapons and damaged master-grade divine weapons. One must know that that was a source-level divine armament. Even if it was damaged, the energy essence it contained was no small matter. Source-grade weapons corresponded to reciprocity. Furthermore, there were quite a few damaged divine weapons. Once he refined them, his gains would be huge. Qiuqiu had only just broken through to the Divine Master realm, so it naturally wouldn't stop so easily. Qiuqiu's aura continued to rise. Early first layer of the Divine Master realm, middle first layer of the Divine Master realm, late first layer of the Divine Master realm, peak first layer of the Divine Master realm, boom. Half a day later, Qiuqiu's aura skyrocketed again, reaching a new level. Second level of the Divine Master realm. What kind of physique does this guy have? It's so perverted. He surpassed me again. Lu Ming was truly envious of Qiuqiu. Others had to cultivate painstakingly, but as long as Qiuqiu had high-grade god weapons or high-grade metal materials to consume, its cultivation would skyrocket. This was simply a pervert among perverts. Lu Ming had previously believed that Qiuqiu was a member of the metal race, but now, it seemed like this was a question mark. This was because the metal race had never produced a physique as perverted as Qiuqiu's. Although the metal race was one of the 10 strongest races, possessing great talent and being able to absorb various metals to increase their cultivation, they were definitely not as perverted as Qiuqiu, advancing so quickly. Qiuqiu's aura quickly stabilized at the second layer of the Divine Master realm, before rising once more. Lu Ming was flabbergasted. Could Qiuqiu have reached the third layer of the Divine Master realm in one go? This was the Divine Master realm. Every single layer was extremely difficult to advance, even in the primitive universe. Only by entering the ruins of the universe and searching for primitive crystals could one advance. Qiuqiu had actually done it so easily? Before long, Qiuqiu's aura reached the peak of the second layer of the Divine Master Realm. At this point, Qiuqiu did not continue to break through. Instead, it withdrew its aura and ended its evolution. Qiuqiu, amazing! You've surpassed me in one go. Lu Ming flew over, beaming. What a pity! I was so close to breaking through to the third layer of the Divine Master Realm. Qiuqiu sighed, but the smugness in its eyes was very clear. This fellow is still acting cool in front of me. Lu Ming scorned. Of course, he was also happy for Qiuqiu. Qiuqiu had reached the second layer of the Divine Master Realm, and its fighting strength had increased. But Lu Ming estimated that it was definitely not weak. Qiuqiu had a special physique and had devoured several divine weapons, so it could inherit some of their mysteries and power. Once it erupted, it could become a major fighting force for Lu Ming. Crucially, Qiuqiu's mining ability had also increased by a large margin. Have you refined all the broken divine weapons you devoured previously? Lu Ming asked. Not yet. The divine weapons contain extremely dense energy essence, and there are several of them. I can still refine them for some time. Once I've finished refining them, breaking through to the third layer of the Divine Master Realm, or even the fourth layer of the Divine Master Realm won't be impossible. But it won't be so easy to break through in the future. I'll need a lot of divine weapons and metal materials, Qiuqiu said. Lu Ming nodded. It was fine as long as he hadn't finished refining them yet. He would look for more in the future. Qiuqiu, you've broken through. We should go out for a walk, Lu Ming said. Almost a month had passed, and it should be quiet outside. He wanted to go to those mines and see if he could get some ice fire star silver. With a thought, Qiuqiu came out of the primal desolate ring, turned into a bracelet, and put it on Lu Ming's wrist. After informing Haizong, Lu Ming left without anyone noticing. Soon Lu Ming arrived at the closest ice fire star silver mine. This mine was also the first one that Lu Ming had found. There's no celestial race here. Lu Ming stood in the air, but he didn't see a single celestial race expert. There was also no sign of any celestial race experts on the highest mountain. Lu Ming used the great concealment art to conceal his aura, and continued to observe. They're here. About half a day later, Lu Ming saw a ninth-layer divine god realm elder of the celestial race descending on the mountain. Soon, a manager of the mine delivered a jade box. The ninth-layer divine god realm elder of the celestial race took the jade box and left. Lu Ming frowned. Was the celestial race going to collect once a day? Once a day, there would only be about 10 grams of ice fire star silver. Even if Lu Ming killed them, he would only get 10 grams, and he might be exposed. This should be the celestial race's plan to guard against him. Chapter 4572. In this case, Lu Ming really couldn't make a move, because it was really not worth it. If he was exposed and surrounded by the experts of the heavenly human race, it would be troublesome. Lu Ming observed for a while, then left and went to another mine. He discovered that the other mine was about the same. It was also harvested once a day. Once it was harvested, it would leave without delay. Lu Ming went to several mines in succession, and they were all the same. Lu Ming even felt several powerful auras hiding in the dark around a relatively large mine. One of the auras made Lu Ming feel a sense of danger. If Lu Ming's spirit sense wasn't extremely sharp, he wouldn't have noticed it. Obviously, the heavenly human race was hiding in the dark. If Lu Ming appeared, they would attack violently. However, from this, it could be seen that the heavenly human race didn't have enough people. Otherwise, they wouldn't only be hiding in the larger mines. No one was hiding in the smaller mines. Lu Ming observed for a while, but he didn't make a move. Instead, he left. Lu Ming, you should let me try. Maybe I can get into the mine and swallow and refine the ice fire star silver. At this time, Qiuqiu alley. Get into the mine? Qiuqiu, you know that there are terrifying rays of light in the mine. Those who aren't from the Yen race will be attacked if they enter. Even my forbidden power can't withstand it. Can you withstand it? Lu Ming said. I think I can try. After breaking through to the Divine Master Realm, my strength has increased greatly. Also look. As Qiuqiu spoke, a layer of liquid metal suddenly flowed on the surface of his body, shining with red and blue starlight, wrapping him inside. This is Ice Fire Star Silver. Lu Ming was a little shocked. That's right. I've eaten 5 kilograms of Ice Fire Star Silver, which can transform the surface of my body into Ice Fire Star Silver. The Ice Fire Star Silver here is exposed to that kind of light all year round. If I cover my body with Ice Fire Star Silver, I might be able to block it. Chiu Ali. Okay, then let's go to the first mine. You can try it, Lu Ming said. With that, Lu Ming brought Chiu back to the mine closest to the Sea Sect village. There were no heavenly human tribe members guarding this place. Lu Ming silently entered the mine. In a deserted corner, Chiu began to take action. He flew out and opened his mouth to chew. Soon he dug out a cave and entered it. A moment later, Chiu flew out again. Chiu, how is it? Lu Ming asked. No problem. The surface of my body has turned into ice spark silver, which has a great blocking effect on that kind of light. Most of the destructive power of that kind of light has been blocked. Although a trace of the destructive power has landed on my body, I can withstand it. It won't be a problem for me to stay in the mine for 10 days at a time, Chiu said proudly. Lu Ming was delighted. In this way, wouldn't Chiu be able to continuously refine large amounts of Ice Fire Star Silver? Even if he didn't directly clash with the Celestial Tribe, Lu Ming would still be able to obtain large amounts of Ice Fire Star Silver. That's great. Chiu, you excavate here. I'll wait for you in the village. If anything happens, send me a message. Lu Ming said. All right, no problem. Wait for me to empty this continent of Ice Fire Star Silver, haha. Chiu proudly continued to drill into the mine and disappeared. Lu Ming returned to the village where the Sea Sect was located. Lu Ming wasn't worried about Chiu's safety at all. Chiu could block that kind of light and come and go freely in the mine. Even if he encountered that 7th-tier divine master of the Celestial Tribe, he would be able to retreat safely. If he couldn't beat him, he could just drill into the mine. The Celestial Tribe wouldn't dare to enter the mine. After returning to the Sea Sect's courtyard, Lu Ming continued to comprehend the desolate form and the battle formula. He planned to wait until Chiu excavated enough Ice Fire Star Silver before making his next move. Moreover, this continent definitely contained desolate crystals. It was just that he hadn't found them yet. If Chiu could find them, he would be rich. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. Chiu returned and spat out 5 caddies of Ice Fire Star Silver. This speed was many times faster than the mining speed of the Flame Tribe in the mine. However, Chiu's expression was somewhat unsightly. When he saw Lu Ming, he said, Lu Ming, I discovered that there's not much Ice Fire Star Silver left in that mine. After being mined by the Celestial Tribe for so many years, it's about to dry up. Next time, I'll go to the other mines to take a look. All right, Chiu, be careful. Lu Ming nodded. Don't worry, I'm leaving. With that, Chiu's figure flashed and he left. Given the level of this village, Chiu naturally wouldn't be discovered by anyone. Just like that, Lu Ming stayed in this village for another 3 months. In these 3 months, Chiu went to the various mines and brought back more than 20 caddies of Ice Fire Star Silver for Lu Ming. His colleague Chiu told him that the same was true for the other mines. They were about to dry up and there wasn't much Ice Fire Star Silver left to be mined. It seems that the Celestial Tribe has almost mined out all the Ice Fire Star Silver. I wonder how much Ice Fire Star Silver they have. I originally planned to think of a way to occupy this continent, but it seems that there's no need. As long as I can get the Ice Fire Star Silver from the Celestial Tribe. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a fiery light. However, his current cultivation wasn't enough. He still needed to wait. Lu Ming, I also discovered a big secret. At this moment, Chiu approached Lu Ming and whispered with a mysterious look. What secret? Lu Ming was very cooperative and pretended to be curious. However, to be honest, Lu Ming was indeed a little curious. Seeing Lu Ming's expression, Chiu's vanity was greatly satisfied. He said with a smile, It's about the Mountain of Ancestors. The Mountain of Ancestors? This time, Lu Ming was really shocked. At first, he was just a little curious, but now he was deeply curious. Chiu was even more pleased. Yes, the Mountain of Ancestors. I discovered that there are all kinds of metal ores in the depths of this continent. The quantity is astonishing, and they intersect like veins. You can follow these or veins to the mountain of ancestors. Metal ores are everywhere under this continent. Lu Ming was shocked. Then his eyes burned with passion. Yes, this continent was definitely not simple in the previous epoch. Unfortunately, most of the ores are not high-grade. They can only be used to forge emperor or sovereign divine weapons. There are very few ores that can be used to forge master divine weapons. They are not very useful. Qiuqiu sighed. Lu Ming also felt that it was a pity. Indeed, Lu Ming really didn't care about the ores that could only be used to forge emperor or sovereign divine weapons. Qiuqiu's cultivation had reached the second tier of the divine master realm. These low-grade ores were almost useless to Qiuqiu. No matter how much Qiuqiu ate, he wouldn't be able to increase his cultivation. As Lu Ming's cultivation increased, his standards naturally became higher and higher. That's right, Qiuqiu. Did you find any desolate gems underground? Lu Ming asked again. Chapter 45-73. Compared to the various precious metals, Lu Ming was more concerned about the desolate crystals. The desolate crystals could be directly converted into strength and improve one's cultivation. No treasure was as practical as the desolate crystals. No, Qiuqiu shook his head. He wasn't too enthusiastic about the desolate crystals. Lu Ming was a little disappointed. By the way, what's the secret of the ancestral mountain you mentioned? Lu Ming finally thought of the ancestral mountain. I followed the metal veins and came to the periphery of the ancestral mountain. I found the heavenly human tribe. They seem to want to destroy something and enter the ancestral mountain. Qiuqiu Ali. Destroy what? You mean the heavenly human tribe hasn't entered the ancestral mountain yet? Lu Ming asked. No, there's a powerful force around the ancestral mountain. It's difficult to enter. Even if there's a metal vein underground, I can't enter through the metal vein. Qiuqiu Ali. This was somewhat beyond Lu Ming's expectations. Lu Ming thought that the heavenly human tribe had already entered the ancestral mountain. It turned out that the heavenly human tribe was still dawdling outside the ancestral mountain. Let's go, Qiuqiu. Let's go take a look. Lu Ming said. Then Lu Ming took Qiuqiu and flew in the direction of the ancestral mountain. The ancestral mountain was in the center of the continent. Lu Ming transformed into a heavenly human and flew at full speed. He soon arrived. The ancestral mountain is up ahead. Qiuqiu pointed straight ahead. Lu Ming looked over. There were clouds and mist in front of him. He could vaguely see a huge mountain rising from the ground. It was very majestic and could be tens of thousands of feet tall. To be honest, a peak of tens of thousands of feet was not considered outstanding on this continent. Peaks above tens of thousands of feet were everywhere on this continent. This was somewhat beyond Lu Ming's expectations. He originally thought that the ancestral mountain would be the most majestic and tallest mountain on this continent. In the end, it was not considered outstanding among the mountains on this continent. It seemed a little ordinary. However, that mist was very strange. It could obstruct Lu Ming's vision, causing him to be unable to see the entirety of the mountain of ancestors. He could only see an outline. The people of the celestial race are in the surroundings. If we get any closer, we will be discovered. Lu Ming, I will bring you through the mine. The ball was on the fairway. All right. Lu Ming nodded. Qiuqiu's body was like liquid metal. It squirmed on Lu Ming's body and turned into a suit of armor that covered Lu Ming's entire body. Next, Lu Ming chose a place and dug a hole in the ground. Below was an ordinary metal or vein. Qiuqiu brought Lu Ming along and blended into the metal or vein. The metal veins here also contained that terrifying light, but most of it was blocked by Qiuqiu. Very little could seep in, and Lu Ming easily blocked it with his taboo power. According to Qiuqiu, the underground veins of this continent all had that terrifying light. No one knew how it was produced. Qiuqiu brought Lu Ming along the vein. After walking for a while, they went up. In places where there were no ores, Qiuqiu opened its mouth and gnawed away the rocks. It quietly dug a hole and came to the surface. Qiuqiu chose a very good place. It was very hidden. Over there. As soon as Lu Ming came out, he sensed many auras in a certain place. A few of them were extremely powerful, which shocked Lu Ming. Lu Ming used the great concealment technique to conceal his aura to the extreme. He hid himself in a big rock and looked in that direction. Indeed, there were many celestial race people in that direction. At a glance, there were at least dozens of them. Behind the dozens of people, there were also dozens of huge statues. Those statues. Lu Ming's eyes moved and his heart trembled. He sensed a rich power of faith from those statues. The power of faith is about to be full again. This time, we must break through this lifeline in one go. One of the celestial race people said with dignity. Lu Ming felt the strongest sense of danger from this person. Don't worry, Lord Tianxiu. The power of faith of the Yin clan can suppress the lifeline of their ancestral mountain. After so many years, a hole has been opened in the first lifeline. This time we will definitely break through it completely in one go. A celestial race elder said. Lord Tianxiu? It seems that this person is the ruler of the celestial race on this continent, Yiling Tianxiu. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Afterward, Lu Ming's gaze shifted to the front. This was already the foot of the ancestral mountain. After passing through the clouds, he could see the ancestral mountain clearly. The appearance of the ancestral mountain stunned Lu Ming. It was still too strange. The outermost area of the ancestral mountain was a mountain range. This mountain range was like a huge dragon. Its head and tail intersected, forming a circle that surrounded the other parts of the ancestral mountain. And they were now outside this mountain range. And inside this mountain range, there was a second mountain range that also looked like a huge dragon. Its head and tail intersected, forming a circle that surrounded the inner part of the ancestral mountain. Unlike the first mountain range, the second mountain range was higher, so it could be seen clearly from outside. But it was not over. Inside the second mountain range, there was a third mountain range that was almost the same as the first two. It also formed a circle. The only difference was that the third mountain range was higher than the second mountain range. After the third mountain range, there was a fourth, fifth, sixth. There were a total of 9 mountain ranges. The 9 mountain ranges were all in a circle. The deeper the mountain range, the smaller the area, but the taller it was. There should be some distance between them. In the center of the 9th mountain range, there was a mountain peak that pierced the sky like a sharp sword. It was the tallest. The 9 mountain ranges and the mountain peak in the center formed the complete ancestral mountain. It was Lu Ming's first time seeing such a landscape, and he could not help but be shocked. This is the lifeline layout. At this moment, Gumo's voice rang in his mind. Lifeline layout. It was Lu Ming's first time hearing about it. That's right. The 9 ring-shaped mountain ranges you see are the lifelines. If my guess is correct, these 9 lifelines might be connected to the people of the Yin clan. That's because the ancestor of the Yin clan came from here. Moreover, the lifeline has an extremely powerful sealing and defensive function. Not only can one not fly in the area covered by the lifeline, it can also prevent other living beings from entering. Guemo explained. Lu Ming was enlightened. No wonder the people of the heavenly human tribe did not fly in directly. It was impossible to fly in here. If they wanted to enter the sacred mountain, they could only go in step by step. If the people of the heavenly human tribe want to enter the sacred mountain, they can only sever the lifeline. However, the lifeline is connected to the Yin tribe's fate. Severing the lifeline will cause great harm to the Yin tribe. Guemo said. Great harm to the Yin tribe? Will it cause the people of the Yin tribe to die? Lu Ming's heart trembled as he asked. Chapter 4574. That won't happen. The lifeline is related to the luck of a race. Breaking the lifeline is equivalent to cutting off the luck of the race. The talent and luck of the descendants of the race will become worse and worse. Moreover, the race will encounter all kinds of disasters. Over time, the race will be destroyed. Guemo explained. Lu Ming gasped a breath of cold air. Breaking the lifeline could lead to the extinction of the race. These 9 ring-shaped mountain ranges are the 9 lifelines. If all of them are broken, the Yin tribe will definitely be destroyed in the future. If a few are left, there is still a chance. Now it seems that the power of faith of the Yin tribe can help the heavenly human tribe break the lifeline. They can't do it with their own strength. Guemo said. Lu Ming nodded. After coming here, Lu Ming finally understood why the heavenly human tribe collected the power of faith. The heavenly human tribe descended on this continent and turned into gods. Not only did they enslave the Yen tribe and make them mine for them, but they also collected their power of faith and used it to cut off the lifeline of the Yen tribe. This method was brilliant and ruthless. One had to admit that Yiling Tianshou was a character. However, the people of the Yen tribe were really miserable. The gods that they devoutly believed in were doing something that cut off the lifeline of their race. He wondered what the people of the Yen tribe would think if they knew. At this moment, the heavenly human tribe had already begun to act. The power of faith of the dozens of statues continuously poured into the battle swords, covering the battle swords with a thick power of faith. Yiling Tianshou ordered. The few heavenly human tribe members worked together to activate the battle swords and slashed at the outermost mountain range. When the battle swords approached, the mountain range shone. Lu Ming could clearly see that there was a blood-red vein in the mountain range. It seemed to have merged with the mountain range. This blood-red vein was the real lifeline. One could see that there was a huge gap in this lifeline. It seemed to have been damaged for a long time, and was in imminent danger. It seemed like it would be cut off at any time. This should be the place where the heavenly human tribe had been attacking for a long time. Boom! The battle sword slashed at the gap in the lifeline, and a violent explosion erupted. One could see that the gap became a little bigger after the slash. Continue. Yiling Tianshou continued to order. Whoosh! The second sword, which contained a rich amount of faith power, slashed down and also slashed at the same hole, making it bigger. After the battle sword was slashed, the faith power would be exhausted. However, the dozens of statues would immediately pour a large amount of faith power into the battle sword. These several dozen statues were the power of faith that the celestial race had gathered from the entire continent over the past several decades. It was incomparably rich and could be used continuously. Boom, boom, boom. Several members of the heavenly human race controlled their swords and slashed at the lifeline. The gap was getting bigger and bigger. Half a day later, the power of faith on the dozens of statues had become very thin. However, the lifeline had almost been severed, leaving only a trace of connection. Break. Boom. Finally, another sword slash landed on the gap in the lifeline, severing the last connection between the lifeline and the lifeline. Rumble. The entire ancestral mountain shook violently. At this moment, the countless Yen clan members on the continent felt uneasy, as if a calamity was about to befall them. This was an instinctive reaction from the unseen world, and it was unclear what it was. After the lifeline was severed, it wriggled like a living dragon and finally turned into a ray of light, flying into the depths of the ancestral mountain and disappearing. The outermost mountain range was still there, but it looked very ordinary now, as if it had become an ordinary mountain range. Ha ha ha, we finally severed the first lifeline. The heavenly human race members were overjoyed. Without the protection of the lifeline, this mountain is just an ordinary mountain. Break through this mountain, and let's go inside to take a look. Yiling Tianshou ordered. Immediately, a few heavenly human race members attacked. Their divine weapons turned into dazzling rays of light and slashed at the mountain. Bam! 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 The divine weapons landed on the mountain, causing debris to fly everywhere. Large rocks crumbled, and in the blink of an eye, a crater was formed on the mountain. Compared to the other mountains, this mountain was still incomparably tough, but it was no longer indestructible. It was only a matter of time before it was penetrated. Let's attack together. Yiling Tianshou ordered. Even he took action, continuously attacking the mountain. They wanted to penetrate the mountain and enter, although there were still 8 lifelines inside. However, there was a gap between the first lifeline and the second lifeline. Perhaps there was a great opportunity hidden within. Lu Ming, this lifeline has disappeared, so has the underground barrier. I'll take you directly in. Qiu said. Let's go in and take a look. Lu Ming said. Qiu shrouded Lu Ming again. The two entered the underground mine, and then followed the mine toward the ancestral mountain. Previously, there was a lifeline blocking them, so they couldn't enter. Now that the first lifeline was severed, they could directly follow the underground mine and cross the first mountain range. After a while, Chiu began to move upward, and then the two appeared in a canyon. Yes, there was a gap between the first lifeline and the second lifeline, about 100 miles away, forming a canyon. What a rich life essence. Is this desolate chi? Lu Ming took a deep breath, and his eyes lit up. This place was full of vitality, and countless plants were thriving here, exuding rich life essence. Moreover, there was also a trace of desolate chi in the void. Lu Ming, look, are those desolate crystals on the wall? Chiu exclaimed in surprise. Lu Ming looked at the wall of the first lifeline. This was the wall of the first lifeline. The heavenly human tribe was still on the outer wall of the lifeline. On the walls of the internal test room, there were spots of light. These spots of light were clearly pieces of desolate crystals embedded in the walls. At a glance, there were no less than 1,000 desolate crystals. Lu Ming's heart thumped. He was rich. He had long speculated that there must be desolate crystals on this continent, but he had never found them. It turned out that the desolate crystals were here, in the ancestral mountain. 1,000 desolate crystals would definitely be able to greatly improve his cultivation. Chiu, let's work together and dig out these desolate crystals. Lu Ming shouted and rushed to the wall. When he reached the bottom of the wall, Lu Ming took out a source-level divine weapon. His life spirit was the guardian divine weapon of the heavenly court, and he began to dig. With a clang, the source-level divine weapon slashed the wall, and a rock shattered. A piece of desolate crystal flew out, and was caught by Lu Ming. The rich energy in the desolate crystal made Lu Ming's heart skip a beat. After putting it into the storage ring, Lu Ming continued to use the source-level divine weapon to dig out the second piece of desolate crystal. Chiu also rushed over to help. The two of them worked together, and soon obtained dozens of desolate crystals. Chapter 45-75. With the two of them working together, they quickly obtained dozens of desolate crystals. Unfortunately, they couldn't fly within the ancestral mountain. Lu Ming could only jump into the air and knock down a piece with his soul-grade weapon. Then he would fall to the ground. Naturally, he wouldn't be able to move much faster. Quick! Lu Ming continued to attack. He had to get these desolate crystals as quickly as possible. Once the celestial race charged in, it wouldn't be so easy to get them. A moment later, Lu Ming and Chiu had obtained over 500 desolate crystals. That was a huge harvest. But at this moment, rumbling came from the mountain. The celestial race's people were about to break through the mountain. Lu Ming and Chiu went all out. They kept jumping and digging out pieces of primordial crystals. In the blink of an eye, they obtained over 100 desolate crystals. But boom! With a loud sound, crushed rocks flew everywhere. Smoke and dust filled the air. The mountain peak was penetrated. Lu Ming was startled. He and Chiu stopped digging for desolate crystals, preparing to retreat at any moment. After all, the celestial race had a 7th-level divine master like Yiling Tianshou. They definitely wouldn't be able to deal with him. But after waiting for a few seconds, they didn't see the celestial race enter. It seems the celestial race is hesitating. Chiu, let's continue. Increase our speed. Lu Ming transmitted to Chiu. The two of them charged out once more, continuing to dig for desolate crystals. But this time, when they attacked, they used energy to form a barrier to block out the sound, preventing the celestial race's people from hearing them. At this time, the celestial race's people truly were hesitating. After piercing through the mountain, the celestial race's people quickly retreated, as if they were facing a great enemy. After all, this was the ancestral mountain, something left behind from the previous epoch. They didn't dare lower their guard. Young Master Tianshou, do you want to go in and take a look? Asked one of the celestial race's people. Yiling Tianshou's eyes flickered. You guys go in and take a look. Quickly report to me if there's anything. Yiling Tianshou still decided to let the others check it out first. If there was no danger, it wouldn't be too late for him to go in. If there was danger, it would be the others who would die, and it wouldn't affect him. The Celestials sighed in their hearts. Although they were unwilling, they knew that they had to do it even if they didn't want to. Their lives and deaths were all in the hands of Yiling Tianshou. Yes, the heavenly human tribe cultivators accepted the order. and then walked toward the cave that had been pierced through. There was a total of 4 people, and one of them was a 5th-level Divine Master. The 4 of them were very cautious. Their attention was highly focused, and they were prepared to fight at any moment. Moreover, they had restrained their auras to the extreme, and silently walked inside. Their speed was not fast, and it took them quite a while to pass through the tunnel and reach the canyon between the 2 mountain ranges. As soon as they appeared, they saw Lu Ming and Qiu working hard to excavate chaos crystals. "You're Yi Qiu, you're not dead." That 5th-layer Divine Master expert let out an incredulous roar when he saw Lu Ming. Lu Ming was not using his original appearance at the moment. He had been using the great imitation art to transform into Yi Qiu's appearance. When the Celestials saw Lu Ming, they thought that Lu Ming was not dead. "Nestle, you came in just like that. Why was there no sound at all?" Lu Ming cursed in his heart. However, he was relieved that he did not see Yiling Tianshou. As long as Yiling Tianshou had not come in, there would be no problem. Lu Ming could not be bothered with the Celestials. He continued to excavate the chaos crystals on the wall with Qiu. "Great Desolate Crystal, it's the Great Desolate Crystal." "So many chaos crystals," the other Celestials cried out. "Yi Qiu, how dare you eat Lord Tianshou's Icefire Star Silver and dig for chaos crystals here? Do you know that this is a capital offense? Wait, how did you come in?" The 5th-layer Divine Master roared. When he came to his senses, he was dumbfounded. They had been guarding outside and did not see Yi Qiu come in at all. How did Yi Qiu come in? From the potholes on the wall, they could see that Lu Ming had been here for a while and had already dug out many chaos crystals. They could not figure it out. Lu Ming could not be bothered with them. He continued to excavate the chaos crystals quickly. At this time, he and Qiu had already dug out 800 chaos crystals. This was definitely a great harvest. Lu Ming's heart was burning. There were still several hundred chaos crystals left. Lu Ming wanted to dig them all out. "Attack, capture Yi Qiu and hand him over to Lord Tianshou for interrogation." The 5th-layer Divine Master roared. Swish. A 3rd-layer Divine Master of the celestial race charged toward Lu Ming like a bolt of lightning. They were well aware of Yi Qiu's strength and cultivation. He was only a 2nd-layer Divine Master. A 3rd-layer Divine Master could easily suppress him. "Yi Qiu, kneel down and beg for forgiveness from Lord Tianshou," that 3rd-tier Divine Master expert bellowed. His combat sword became incomparably huge, pressing down on Lu Ming. "You're seeking death." Lu Ming's eyes chilled. The War God Spear appeared and stabbed at this person. Clang! The 2 divine weapons clashed, and the celestial race divine weapon exploded. The War God Spear did not stop, stabbing into the 3rd-layer Divine Master of the celestial race. Violent destructive energy not only pierced through this person's body, but it also tore it apart, killing him on the spot. Lu Ming had used almost all his strength in this spear attack, except for a few trump cards. Instantly killing a 3rd-layer Divine Master of the celestial race was child's play. The other celestial race experts were all stunned, staring at Lu Ming in disbelief. How could Yi Qiu possibly kill a 3rd-layer Divine Master expert with a single strike? "No, you're only a 1st-layer Divine Master. You're not Yi Qiu. Just who are you?" The 5th-layer Divine Master roared as he finally reacted. As soon as Lu Ming struck, his 1st-level Divine Master cultivation was naturally revealed. Furthermore, the power that Lu Ming used was not the power of heaven. Therefore, the Yi Qiu in front of him was not Yi Qiu at all. "Little ball, let's go." After killing a 3rd-level Divine Master, Lu Ming stopped digging for the primeval crystals. Together with Qiu, he dashed to the side. That was where they had just entered. "You want to leave? Stay." The 5th-layer Divine Master roared, his body leaping up like an ape as he charged at Lu Ming. Violent waves of energy swept toward Lu Ming. Heaven Sundering. Lu Ming roared as he used the Heaven Sundering style, thrusting out several thousand spear lights. Thousands of spear lights, densely packed, were like a shield blocking in front of him. But when his opponent's energy swept over, these several thousand spear lights were instantly shattered. "A mere 1st-layer Divine Master wants to stop me? You overestimate yourself. I'll cripple you." The 5th-level Divine Master Heavenly Human snorted coldly. His 5 fingers formed into claws, grabbing toward Lu Ming. Chapter 45-76. The celestial race 5th-tier god Lord clawed at Lu Ming. His claw rapidly enlarged, covered in the power of heavenly punishment, engulfing Lu Ming. This terrifying power made Lu Ming's pupils constrict and his muscles tense up. The forbidden energy in his body was pushed to its limit. He had long ago activated the battle character art to increase his fighting strength by 8 times, pushing it to its peak. Swish! The war god spear in his hand transformed into a ray of light and flew toward his opponent's claw. At the same time, he quickly formed a seal with his hands, using the primitive desolate style. A continent appeared above Lu Ming's head and charged upward. Clang! The war god's spear was the first to be struck, fiercely clashing with the claw, and then it was sent flying back. The claw didn't stop, continuing to claw down at the primitive desolate continent. The primitive desolate continent fiercely shuddered, and then exploded from the impact. Lu Ming's body shuddered as he retreated, vomiting blood. A 5th-tier god lord is truly powerful. He's not someone I can fight against. Lu Ming had a grave expression. His opponent had definitely not used his full strength in that attack, but it was no longer something that Lu Ming could fight against. Even if he used his origin energy and used his strongest attack, he would still be no match for his opponent. Lu Ming was shocked, but he did not know that the other party was even more shocked. He had used 70% of his strength in that attack. It had to be known that he was a 5th-tier god lord. Even 70% of his strength was enough to easily suppress a 4th-tier god lord expert. But Lu Ming was only a 1st-tier god lord. Yet he had only been lightly injured after blocking his attack. This was simply inconceivable. How could such a monstrous genius exist in this world? Kill. The 5th-tier divine master of the heavenly human tribe wanted to kill Lu Ming. With a roar, a battle sword appeared in his hand. Sword gleams pierced through the air, bursting forth with dozens of sword chis, slashing toward Lu Ming. The terrifying howling of sword chi made Lu Ming feel a terrible sense of danger. He couldn't take it head-on. He couldn't take this attack head-on, or else he would end up in a miserable state. Swish! Lu Ming transformed into a spear gleam and dashed toward the rear. Want to leave? You won't be able to leave in my hands. His opponent coldly shouted, and the sword chi suddenly accelerated, instantly approaching Lu Ming. Not good. Lu Ming's expression. Let me. Slay him. Qiu handed it over and flew out. Its body quickly wriggled and actually turned into a halberd, emitting a terrifying aura. The Qiu's Qiu's origin weapon was a broken halberd. Qiu's gods. The huge halberd slashed out horizontally, shrouding Lu Ming in dozens of sword auras. Chong dang, the sword aura and the battle halberd collided continuously. In the end, the battle halberd was sent flying. However, there were only a few sword auras left. Lu Ming waved the war god spear and blocked the last few sword auras. Qiu is so strong. Qiu. To be honest, Qiu's strength had exceeded his expectations. Qiu had just transformed into a halberd, and it had actually erupted with a shred of the might of a source-level divine weapon. Its might was astonishing, and it could definitely kill a 4th-level divine master. It must be known that Qiu's cultivation was only at the peak of the 2nd level of the Divine Lord realm, but it could kill a 4th-level Divine Lord. Such battle prowess was rare even in the entire desolate universe. It was incredibly difficult for a Divine Lord to fight someone 1 level above them, let alone kill someone 2 levels above them. There were only a few in the entire primitive universe. Evidently, Qiu's battle prowess was definitely related to the fact that it had devoured several damaged source-level divine weapons. Lu Ming decided that if he had the chance, he would definitely find a few more damaged source-grade divine weapons for Qiu to swallow. If it really didn't work out, he wouldn't hesitate to give Qiu an intact source-grade divine weapon. Right, that armor. Lu Ming thought of the armor he got from Yichu Tianji. It was a source-level divine weapon, but it was pierced through by his war god spear. If Qiu ate it, wouldn't Qiu possess the defensive power of a source-grade divine weapon? Would it even need to be repaired? Lu Ming decided that once Qiu finished refining the damaged divine weapon in its body, he would give the armor to Qiu. This is a metallic life form. Very good, this metallic life form will be mine. The celestial race 5th level divine lord expert looked at Qiuqiu, his eyes gleaming with greed. For a metallic life form to possess such terrifying battle prowess, and even exude the aura of a source-grade divine weapon was simply inconceivable and unheard of. His greed was aroused and he wanted to take it for himself. Boundless sword light, heavenly punishment in the sky. The celestial race 5th level divine lord expert became serious, his aura erupting as his sword soared into the sky. Heavenly punishment energy filled the air, exuding a terrifying sword might. He was pushing his strength to the limit. Just a bluff. Watch me. Lu Ming seized the opportunity to attack. Qiuqiu messaged Lu Ming, and then its body rapidly transformed into a mirror. It was another source-grade divine weapon, and it exuded a faint aura of one. The mirror shone, and a pillar of light suddenly shot out. The pillar of light rapidly expanded, filling the sky with radiance and enveloping the entire canyon. The celestial race experts were naturally enveloped in this radiance as well. Kill. Kill. The moment they were enveloped by this radiance, the weaker celestial race experts actually began to roar and charge at each other. They were actually killing each other. The 5th level divine lord expert was also confused, a look of struggle appearing on his face. Lu Ming, this light of mine can make people fall into an illusion. Hurry up and kill that guy. He's too strong, and the illusion won't affect him for long. Qiuqiu's voice rang out in Lu Ming's mind. He was completely stunned. He hadn't expected that Qiuqiu would be able to create an illusion after turning into a mirror that could make people lose themselves in it. This ability was definitely powerful and could be of great use at a critical moment. Just like this moment. Ignoring the shock in his heart, Lu Ming pushed his strength to the limit, and his body turned into spear light. He wanted to use his strongest move to kill that 5th level divine lord celestial race expert. But at this moment, the mountain that had been pierced by the celestial race expert released a terrifying aura. It was as if an incomparably terrifying colossus was rapidly charging over. Boom. The moment that aura entered the canyon, Qiuqiu's illusion collapsed. Not good. It's Yiling Tianxiu. Qiuqiu, let's go. Lu Ming roared, grabbed Qiuqiu, and charged toward the entrance they had come from. Although he still had a chance to attack just now, he still had a chance to kill that 5th level divine lord celestial race expert. However, Yiling Tianxiu had already rushed in quickly. Once there was a slight delay and Yiling Tianxiu arrived, both Lu Ming and Qiuqiu would definitely die. Chapter 4577. Yiling Tianxiu was too strong, much stronger than Lu Ming and Qiuqiu. No matter how mysterious Qiuqiu's mirror was, it could not affect Yiling Tianxiu. Putting himself in danger just to kill a celestial race expert was not worth it. Lu Ming was very fast, taking continuous steps as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, he arrived at the entrance they had come from. At this time, Yiling Tianxiu also arrived and saw Lu Ming. Just who are you? Stay here. Yiling Tianxiu roared as he slashed out with his sword. A terrifying sword light howled toward Lu Ming, its power many times greater than that of the 5th level divine lord from before. One didn't need to think to know that if one were struck by this attack, only death would await them. Qiuqiu, go! Lu Ming roared. At this time, Qiuqiu had turned into a suit of armor that wrapped around Lu Ming. Lu Ming jumped down and charged into the hole that Qiuqiu had dug out, causing Yiling Tianxiu's sword light to miss and strike the wall, leaving a deep gash in it. Damn it! Yiling Tianxiu roared angrily. His footsteps were as fast as lightning as he rushed to the entrance of the cave where Lu Ming had disappeared. Looking down, he had already lost track of Lu Ming. Once Qiuqiu left, the illusion disappeared, and the celestial race experts woke up. After waking up, they gasped for breath, inwardly fearful. What a powerful illusion! Many thanks to Lord Tianxiu for saving us. The celestial race experts expressed their gratitude to Yiling Tianxiu. Who was that person just now? His impersonation of Yi Chuyu was flawless. Even I couldn't see through it. Yiling Tianxiu said, his eyes cold. It was clear that his anger had reached its limit. I don't know. It seems that Yi Chuyu was killed by this person, and the icy fire star silver was most likely taken by this person as well. The 5th level divine lord expert said. You fought with him just now. Do you know where he came from? Yiling Tianshou said. The power that person controls is extremely terrifying and domineering. Moreover, it's very familiar. Yes, it's forbidden power. That fifth-level divine master expert suddenly exclaimed in surprise. After all, he was a fifth-tier divine master. In the heavenly human clan, and even in the five heavenly palace, he was considered one of the upper echelons. He had once come into contact with forbidden power. It was just that many years had passed, and he hadn't thought of it before. Now that he thought about it carefully, he suddenly remembered. What? Forbidden power? Could this person be Lu Ming? Yiling Tianshou was also shocked and immediately thought of Lu Ming. He had been overseeing the stellar sky continent for tens of thousands of years, and was much younger than Lu Ming. Before Lu Ming rose to power, he had already been overseeing this place. However, his connection with the heavenly palace did not stop. His father was a powerful celestial master in the heavenly palace, so he knew everything that had happened in the primitive universe. Naturally, he had heard of Lu Ming's name. Therefore, when he heard that it was forbidden power, he immediately thought of Lu Ming. Yes, it should be Lu Ming. Lord Tianshou, this person is a great enemy of the heavenly palace. Once we capture him, there will be a great reward. A heavenly human said. That's right. We can't let this person go. Unfortunately, this person can travel underground. Is he not afraid of the underground light? Yiling Tianshou frowned. If Lu Ming was not afraid of the underground light, then things would be difficult. Lu Ming had been hiding underground and could not be captured. He didn't dare to go underground. With his cultivation, that kind of light could easily kill him. Lord Tianshou, should we report to the heavenly palace and have them send more experts to capture Lu Ming? The fifth-level divine master asked. Report to the heavenly palace's upper echelons? Do you want to expose my secret here? What are your intentions? Yiling Tianshou glanced at this person coldly, his eyes filled with killing intent. This person shuddered, his face pale. He dropped to his knees and cried. Lord Tianshou, please forgive me. This lowly one really did not have any other intentions. This lowly one was too eager to capture Lu Ming, so I lost my mind. Please spare my life. Humph, watch your words next time. Yiling Tianshou snorted coldly and continued to instruct. Pass down my orders. Send someone to search for Lu Ming. Also pass down my orders. Tell those trash from the Yan clan to pray every day and speed up the collection of the power of faith. Cut off the remaining 8 lifelines as soon as possible. Yiling Tianshou looked into the depths of the mountain of ancestors, his eyes gleaming with greed. Yes. The other heavenly humans obeyed. Lu Ming was led by Qiuqiu along the mine. Soon, they were far away from the mountain of ancestors, and appeared in a place hundreds of thousands of miles away. Swoosh! Lu Ming soared into the sky and looked in the direction of the mountain of ancestors. The heavenly humans will definitely continue to collect faith power to cut off the lifelines. Once the lifelines are cut off, the human race on this continent will be wiped out sooner or later. Lu Ming murmured. He didn't frown. The human race was already weak in the primitive universe, and there were fewer of them now. The Yan clan here was a genuine member of the human clan. Lu Ming did not wish to see this branch of the human clan being annihilated just like that. He had to find a way to stop it. If I can stop the heavenly humans from collecting faith power, they won't be able to continue cutting off their lifelines. But what should I do? Lu Ming murmured, thinking of a solution. That's simple. As long as the people on this continent know the truth about the heavenly humans collecting faith power, they will naturally stop believing in gods. The heavenly humans won't be able to collect faith power. At this moment, Bone's voice sounded. I know that. Unfortunately, I made a mistake and didn't record the scene of the heavenly humans cutting off their lifelines. It's too late now. Lu Ming sighed. If the Yan tribe saw the heavenly humans cutting off their lifelines with faith power, their faith would probably collapse. They wouldn't believe in the heavenly humans anymore, and the heavenly humans wouldn't be able to collect faith power. The key was that he didn't think of this at all. It was too late to regret now. Brat, you should thank this old man. This old man has already recorded everything that happened before with the rest Shadow Stone. Bone said proudly. It's true. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Of course it's true. Take a look. Bone said. He flew out of Lu Ming's sea of consciousness and handed a rest shadow stone to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took a look. Sure enough, the scene of the heavenly humans cutting off their lifelines and even their words were recorded. Good, that's great. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Lu Ming, although your talent is unparalleled and the most intelligent I've seen in my life, you're still too young after all. You haven't considered the problem carefully enough. You still have to consider more aspects in the future. Bone lectured Lu Ming in the tone of an elder, but his voice was full of pride. Yes, Senior Bone Demon is right. Lu Ming nodded repeatedly. He was in a good mood now. There was no harm in letting Bone Demon take advantage of his seniority. Chapter 4578. Lu Ming, when are you going to get me a few Almighty Master Realm Devil Skeletons or Almighty Master Realm Devil Skeletons? I won't be able to recover. Bone Demon complained again. Well, I'll get them when I have the chance. Lu Ming smiled embarrassedly. In fact, it was a little difficult. The skeletons of Divine Lord Demons could only be obtained by entering the Dark Universe. However, the entrance to the Dark Universe was sealed by the Heavenly Palace. How could he enter? Besides, it was not easy to get the skeletons of Divine Lord Demons. Although the demon race was one of the top 10 races, they did not have many Divine Lord Demons. It was not easy to get them. Don't brush me off. Bone Demon was doubtful. Cough, cough. Senior Bone Demon, you haven't told me where you came from. You didn't tell me when I asked you. Can you tell me now? Lu Ming immediately changed the topic. With your current cultivation, I can tell you. Listen carefully. I'm the first skeleton after the Eldritch Universe was created. Bone Demon said proudly. The first skeleton after the Eldritch Universe was created? You were created when the universe was created? Are you a primitive divine spirit? Lu Ming was a little shocked. Primitive divine spirits were also created when the Eldritch Universe was created. Bone Demon was the same as a primitive divine spirit. No, I'm not a primordial god spirit. I'm just a skeleton, a demonic skeleton with spiritual consciousness. I speculate that my previous self was an almighty from the previous epoch. My bones have experienced the changes of epochs and the evolution of the universe. Therefore, my life is destined to be extraordinary. I will rise to prominence and live a glorious life. Bone Demon said. Since when did this guy become as arrogant as Dandan? Lu Ming despised him in his heart and said mercilessly. Then how did you end up like this? That's because I was unlucky. The heavenly human race thought I was a primitive divine spirit and surrounded me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have ended up like this. Bone Demon was furious. You were surrounded by the heavenly human race? Then how did you get to stay with Senior Jingyu? Lu Ming asked curiously. The Bone Demon had initially stayed in Jingyu's portrait. Back then, I was besieged by the heavenly human tribe and was severely injured. I almost died, but I managed to break through the encirclement and escaped into an ancient ruin to hide. Later on, Jingyu went to explore that ruin, and I followed him out. Bone explained. Lu Ming nodded. He finally understood the origin of Bone Demon and its relationship with Jingyu. This was the first demonic bone at the beginning of the universe. When the universe was first formed, intelligence was born. Could it really be, as the Bone Demon had said, that it was formed from the bones left behind by a supreme being from the previous era? It wasn't impossible. Don't worry, I'll definitely think of a way to get you the demonic bone. But first, we'll deal with the problem of this continent. Let's go. Lu Ming flew through the air. After some time, he returned to the residence of the Sea Sect. After returning to the Sea Sect's residence, Lu Ming did not immediately take out the breathing shadow stone. This matter had to be discussed at length. If he took out the breath shadow stone and showed it to the people of this village, although it would make these people no longer believe in the celestial race, it would also attract the attention of the celestial race at the same time. Now wasn't the right time. Lu Ming planned to cultivate and raise his cultivation level first. Then, he would find an opportunity to let the people of the Yen tribe see the contents of the breath shadow stone. Now he had more than 800 chaos crystals in his hands. He wanted to rush to the second level of the Divine Master Realm in one go. He took out the chaos crystals, absorbed the energy inside, and began to cultivate. Beside him, Qiuqiu continued to refine the remaining energy of the divine weapon in its body, striving to make another breakthrough. A few days passed in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming realized that the Sea sect had to pray every day for the past few days. It seems that the people of the celestial race are anxious. They want to increase the speed of collecting the power of faith. Lu Ming could easily guess the celestial race's plan. However, it would take them some time to collect enough power of faith. Previously, the celestial race had spent so many years to successfully sever the first lifeline. In a short time, the celestial race should not be able to sever the second lifeline. Lu Ming could cultivate in peace. Lu Ming continued to absorb the chaos crystals, accumulating the forbidden power. His cultivation had already reached the peak of the first level of the Divine Master Realm. He was not far from the second level of the Divine Master Realm. However, it was not easy to break through to the second level of the Divine Master Realm. The amount of energy required was astonishing. Lu Ming absorbed the chaos crystals one after another. Before long, Lu Ming had absorbed 200 chaos crystals. At this time, Lu Ming's accumulation was extremely robust. The accumulated energy in his body seemed like it was about to overflow. "Break for me," Lu Ming growled. He released his energy and charged forward with all his might. This was a natural process. The bottleneck of this minor realm could not stop Lu Ming at all. Lu Ming broke through the bottleneck as soon as he charged forward. His cultivation reached the second level of the Divine Master Realm. An astonishing aura emanated from his body. Fortunately, Lu Ming had already set up a simple formation in this room that could block his aura. In addition, he did his best to conceal his aura, so he did not alarm anyone else. Half a day later, Lu Ming's aura stabilized. He had completely reached the second level of the Divine Master Realm. The second level of the Divine Master Realm is truly much stronger than the first level of the Divine Master Realm. As he sensed the vast and surging energy in his body, Lu Ming's eyes were brimming with confidence. In the Divine Master Realm, each breakthrough was a massive increase in strength, and the increase in strength would be astonishing. It was far from something a God Emperor could compare to. Right now, my strength alone is enough to contend against that fifth-level Divine Master of the celestial race. If I use my origin energy, killing him won't be impossible. However, there's still a large gap between me and Yiling Tianshou. Lu Ming thought to himself. Yiling Tianshou was a seventh-level Divine Master. Moreover, as the son of a celestial sovereign, his talent was astonishing. His fighting strength far surpassed that of a celestial race expert of the same level. He was far from someone Lu Ming could deal with. Qiuqiu is also about to break through. Lu Ming's eyes brightened. He realized that Qiuqiu's energy was also beginning to ripple. Strands of powerful energy were seeping out, a sign that it was about to break through. Qiuqiu had used 10 gene of Icy Fire Star to neutralize the impurities in its body, allowing it to break through to the peak of the second level of the Divine Master Realm. It wasn't very far from the third level of the Divine Master Realm. As long as it continued to refine the damaged divine weapon in its body, it would easily break through. Lu Ming waved his hand and put Qiuqiu into the primal chaos ring, so that Qiuqiu could break through on its own. Meanwhile, he continued to absorb and refine primal chaos crystals to consolidate his cultivation. Bang! Suddenly, the gate to the courtyard outside was violently kicked open, and a group of people walked in. "Haifeng, what are you doing?" Haizong's voice came from outside. "What am I doing? I've come to capture someone who doesn't respect the gods." Haifeng's cold voice resounded. "Someone who doesn't respect the gods? There's no one here that you want," Haizong said. Haizong said, "No one. Haha, then is Tianyan still living here? You said that he didn't need to go to the god statue to pray because he was injured, but his injuries have clearly healed, so why hasn't he gone?" Haifeng roared. Chapter 4579. In the face of Haifeng's shout, Haizong felt a little guilty. He knew that Lu Ming's injury had already healed. The gods had decreed that after one's injury was healed, one had to pray. Moreover, The gods had recently given a strict order to pray every day. In the past, it was once every 3 days, but now it was every day. Even the injured had to pray, unless the injury was very serious. Tianyun's injury is very serious and he hasn't healed yet. That's why he didn't pray. Haizong stammered for a long time before he finally said this. Ha ha ha, Haizong, do you think you can fool me? Let me tell you, I've been sending people to spy on you all this time. I've already discovered that Tianyun is not injured at all. He's perfectly fine. Not praying when he's not injured? If that's not disrespecting the gods, then what is it? My father said before that not praying when he's not injured is a capital offense. Haifeng laughed. You. Haizong's face was incomparably ugly, and he didn't know what to do. So you want to take this opportunity to make things difficult for me? In the room, Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He knew Haifeng's thoughts very well. On the surface, he wanted to deal with him, but in fact he wanted to use this matter to suppress Haizong and seize the opportunity to seize Haizong's crimson stone. How could such a small trick escape Lu Ming's eyes? Lu Ming got up and pushed the door open. Haifeng, Haizong, and the other's eyes fell on Lu Ming. Not good. Why did Big Brother Tianyun come out at this time? Isn't he confessing without being pressed? Haizong was incomparably anxious. On the other hand, Haifeng was overjoyed and said with a smile, Haizong, look, this Tianyun doesn't look injured at all. He's perfectly fine. Now that the evidence is conclusive, do you still want to quibble? Big Brother Tianyun, his hometown isn't shrouded in the light of the gods. Moreover, even if he didn't pray, he doesn't deserve to die. Haizong said, still wanting to argue. Doesn't deserve to die? Not praying is disrespect to the gods in your heart. Disrespect to the gods is a capital offense. Do you understand? Men, take Tianyun down. Haifeng ordered loudly. The 2 strong men behind Haifeng immediately stepped forward and were about to walk towards Lu Ming. The 2 burly men had powerful auras. They were empty god realm cultivators. In this village, he could be considered a top expert. Stop! Haizong stepped forward, blocking in front of Lu Ming. He opened his arms to block the 2 large men. Haizong, you dare to harbor someone who doesn't respect the gods? That's a grave crime, and you'll have to bear the same punishment as Tianyun. Instead of being shocked, Haifeng laughed heartily. This was exactly the reaction he wanted from the Sea sect. Then he would have a reason to attack. You, Haizong's face was pale. Haizong, if you know what's good for you, hand over the crimson stone and I can let bygones be bygones. Haifeng walked up to Haizong and whispered to him. You. So you want my redstone? Let me tell you, don't even think about it. Sea sect roared. Humph, it's fine if you don't hand over the red stones, but you won't be able to escape the sin of disrespecting the gods. Haifeng sneered. Gods, even if I don't respect the gods, so what? What qualifications do you have to condemn us? What qualifications do the gods have to condemn us? Haizong finally exploded. His eyes were red as he roared out what he wanted to say in his heart. This time, even Haifeng and the other large men were stunned. They really didn't expect that Haizong would dare to speak like this. What qualifications did the gods have? This was much more serious than disrespecting the gods. This was blasphemy against the gods, insulting the gods, and deserved to be cut into pieces. Was Haizong crazy? By the side, Lu Ming's lips curled into a smile. He knew that Haizong was speaking from the bottom of his heart. When he saw Haizong praying, the thread of faith was faintly discernible. He knew that Haizong probably didn't really believe in the gods, but he didn't dare to show it. Now Haizong finally had the courage to say it. He hadn't made a move yet because he wanted to test Haizong and see if he had the courage to resist the rule of the gods. He had a good impression of Haizong. If Haizong had the courage to resist, he wouldn't mind giving him some pointers and giving him a good fortune. Haizong didn't disappoint him. Haizong, you dare to insult the gods? Haifeng pointed at Haizong and said in a trembling voice. In his opinion, insulting the gods was definitely a heinous crime. The gods would send down divine punishment. Just thinking about it terrified him. So what if I insulted them? In my opinion, the gods are just creatures with stronger cultivation. If we are strong enough, we won't be weaker than the gods. Haizong roared. He was going all out. Haizong, how dare you? Suddenly, a roar came from afar. A group of people hurried over. The leader was the village chief and some other elders in the village. These people were looking at Lu Ming and Haizong angrily. Haizong was so lawless. Not only would he hurt himself, but he would also implicate them. They were shocked and angry. They never dreamed that Haizong would be so bold. Haizong, the gods descended and taught us cultivation methods. They led the Yan clan to glory. You blasphemy against the gods. You deserve to be cut into pieces. The village chief pointed at Haizong and shouted angrily. At the same time, he also flattered the gods so that he wouldn't be implicated. Nonsense. Our Yan clan's ancestor had already comprehended the cultivation method from the ancestral mountain. We can also cultivate according to our ancestors' cultivation method. Why would we need to cultivate the cultivation method of the gods? Moreover, the cultivation methods passed down by the gods are not good at all. They are not as good as the ones our ancestors comprehended from the ancestral mountain. Haizong refuted loudly. The village chief was trembling with anger, but he couldn't refute. He knew that Haizong was telling the truth. The cultivation methods that the ancestors of the Yan clan had comprehended from the ancestral mountain were the most suitable for the Yan clan. The cultivation methods passed down by the gods were just icing on the cake. They wouldn't be of much help to the Yan clan. But how could he say that out loud? Could he say it out loud? This was blasphemy against the gods. Those who questioned the gods would be punished by the gods. How dare you? Men, take Haizong and Tianyin down. Destroy their cultivation and burn them in front of the statues of the gods to appease the gods' anger. The village chief shouted. Kneel down. Suddenly, the two burly men who had followed Haifeng here shouted angrily. They grabbed Haizong and Lu Ming respectively with their big hands. The two burly men were empty god realm cultivators. In Haizong's eyes, their auras were unfathomable, and he couldn't resist them at all. Moreover, a powerful force had locked onto him. He couldn't even move. Is that it? Grandfather, I'm going to find you. Unfortunately, I've implicated Brother Tianyin. Haizong sighed in his heart and closed his eyes. Dong. Just as Haizong closed his eyes, he heard a buzzing sound that sounded like the beating of a drum. Then he heard two screams. Chapter 4580. When Haizong heard the two screams, he quickly opened his eyes. He saw that the two burly men from before were covered in blood. Their clothes were tattered, and their eyes were filled with shock and confusion. There was not a trace of life left in them. Dead. The two experts that he had thought were unreachable had died just like that. He did not even know how they had died. Not only him, Haifeng, the village chief, and the rest did not know how the two burly men had died. This was because no one had made a move from the beginning to the end. Haizong did not make a move and neither did Lu Ming. The moment the two burly men made a move, they heard a sound that sounded like the beating of a drum. Then the two burly men seemed to have been hit by a mysterious and terrifying force and died. What kind of evil force did you use? The village chief glared at Haizong and Lu Ming. Besides Haizong and Lu Ming, who else would kill the two burly men? Haizong was excluded from the village chief's list. He knew Haizong well, and he knew that Haizong did not have such means. There was only one possibility, and that was Lu Ming. This Tianyin had an unknown background, and it was normal for him to have some strange means. Here, at this moment, Lu Ming opened his mouth and stepped out with a smile. He pointed at his heart and said, "Just now, it was the power of my heartbeat. They were too weak and could not even withstand the power of my heartbeat." After speaking, Lu Ming shook his head. The power of his heartbeat? Everyone was dumbfounded. He could kill two empty god realm experts with the power of his heartbeat? Who would believe that? Nonsense. You want to confuse us and scare us? Dream on. Men, take down this blasphemer. The village chief shouted. This time, a few elders took action and stepped towards Lu Ming. Tianyin, leave now. Haizong shouted. He knew that these elders were the elders of the village, and they had reached the advanced level of the empty god realm. They were not comparable to the two burly men. The two burly men were only at level 1 and level 2 empty god realm. It's fine. Lu Ming had a smile on his face. He was very calm, as if he didn't see the old men coming at him. Dong. At this moment, everyone heard the sound of a drum being struck. This time, everyone heard it clearly. The sound really did come from Lu Ming's chest. In other words, it was really the sound of his heartbeat. Immediately afterwards, several elders cried out miserably. Their bodies flew outwards, suffering heavy injuries. Their bodies were covered in blood. However, he was not dead, only severely injured. Of course, this was because Lu Ming had shown mercy. Since you were also bewitched and pitiful, I'll spare your lives, Lu Ming said indifferently. Actually, Lu Ming also disdained to kill these people. With his current cultivation base and status, these people were really too weak in his eyes. They were not qualified to make him want to kill them. Haizong, Haifeng, the village chief and the rest were dumbfounded. They were tongue-tied and stood there in a daze. Lu Ming had seriously injured a few advanced empty gods with just the sound of his heartbeat. What kind of skill was that? What cultivation base was that? It was too unbelievable and too terrifying. Even a true god would not be able to do that. Could he be a heavenly god? Or a supreme being? However, as far as they knew, there were very few people in the Yen tribe who had reached the supreme being realm. In the entire world, there were only a handful of them. Then they started to tremble, especially Haifeng, whose face turned pale. With Lu Ming's strength, it would be easy for him to kill him. However, he was overthinking. Lu Ming had no interest in killing him. Haizong, let's go to the deity statue, Lu Ming said. He waved his hand and led Haizong to the deity statue in the village. Why are they going to the deity statue? Let's go and take a look. The village chief and the rest quickly chased after Lu Ming and arrived in front of the deity statue. Lu Ming led Haizong and stood in front of the deity statue. Haizong, go and destroy this deity statue, Lu Ming said. He wanted to get rid of the knot in Haizong's heart. What? The village chief and the rest were shocked. Lu Ming wanted to destroy the deity statue. That was a heinous crime. Once the deity statue was destroyed, the deity would be enraged. At that time, not only would Haizong and Tianyin be killed, the entire village would be buried with them. Tianyin, you can't do this. You can't, the village chief shouted. Lu Ming looked at the village chief and a light flashed in his eyes. The village chief felt as if he had been struck by lightning. He staggered back and spurted out a mouthful of blood. He was extremely shocked. Just a glance was enough to injure him. This method was simply unimaginable. He no longer dared to open his mouth. Haizong was hesitant. After all, the deity statue was deeply rooted in people's hearts. It was the same for Haizong. Go. You were right. The so-called deity statue is just a creature with a stronger cultivation. If you're strong enough, you're also a deity. Instead of believing in the deity statue, why don't you believe in yourself? Lu Ming said. Haizong's body trembled as if he was enlightened. Instead of believing in the deity statue, why don't you believe in yourself? Yes. Haizong's eyes were extremely bright. He suddenly took a step forward, took out a battle sword, and slashed at the deity statue with all his might. The moment Haizong slashed out, Lu Ming silently attached a gush of energy to Haizong's combat sword. Otherwise, with Haizong's cultivation, he would not be able to destroy the deity statue. Boom. The battle sword slashed the deity statue. The deity statue was instantly torn apart. The power of faith on it also dissipated. It's over. It's over. It's all over. The village chief, Haifeng, and the rest were pale and their faces were ashen. Now that the deity statue was destroyed, the deity statue would definitely descend upon them with monstrous anger. They would all die. At this moment, Haizong's eyes were bright. His body was shrouded in a layer of light. His cultivation had broken through. The moment he broke the deity statue, his body and mind seemed to have been baptized. His thoughts were clear, and he was incomparably carefree. It was as if the shackles that bound him had been cut off. He became unrestrained and relaxed. Suddenly Lu Ming's eyes moved and looked at Haizong's chest. There, a blood-red light spread out. Then a red stone flew out. It was the red stone. At this moment, the red stone was emitting a dazzling light. From the red stone, red threads extended out and shrouded Haizong. The red stone has been awakened. This is to transform Haizong and stimulate his potential. Lu Ming saw through the situation at a glance. At this time, the red stone had awakened. Could it be related to the change in Haizong's state of mind? Previously, Haizong's thoughts were not clear, and he was bound by the deity statue. Was that why he could not obtain the recognition of the red stone? Haizong's grandfather was also bound by the deity statue. Therefore, even after studying it for a lifetime, he still could not figure out the mystery of the red stone. Just now, Haizong broke the deity statue and completely broke free from the deity statue's shackles. Was that why he obtained the red stone's recognition? Everything made sense when he thought about it this way. Otherwise, it would not be so coincidental. Chapter 4581. Falling in Love with You. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Crimson Stone. It's that crimson stone. Hai Feng exclaimed, his eyes filled with greed. However, with Lu Ming beside him, he did not dare to make any moves. Bang. After a while, the crimson stone exploded, turning into a thick red mist that completely shrouded Haizong. Haizong stood there quietly with his eyes closed, allowing the red mist to seep into his body. One could clearly see that Haizong's muscles and bones were constantly wriggling, as if they were being tempered and transformed. Haizong's aura was also getting stronger. In addition to the breakthrough in his cultivation, there was another reason. His bloodline was being transformed, moving in a stronger direction. Amazing, this is really amazing. What bloodline is this? Lu Ming was a little surprised. This was because the aura that Haizong exuded made him feel pressured. This was unbelievable. Even though Haizong's cultivation was breaking through rapidly and had reached the empty god realm, the empty god realm was still a long way away from him. How could he feel pressured? What made him feel pressured was Haizong's bloodline. Although they were both from the human clan, Haizong's bloodline seemed to be of a higher level than Lu Ming's. For example, in the dragon clan, when an ordinary 5-clawed divine dragon faced a 9-clawed dragon, their bloodline would be suppressed and they would submit to the 9-clawed dragon. Now Lu Ming realized that there seemed to be a similar gap between the human clan. For example, Haizong's bloodline that was about to awaken seemed to be of a higher level than Lu Ming's. This made Lu Ming even more curious. It was said that Haizong's grandfather brought the Crimson Stone back from the Mountain of Ancestors. Perhaps it came from the Mountain of Ancestors, but it had such a function. The transformation of Haizong by the Crimson Stone was not something that could be completed in a short time. Lu Ming waited quietly. A few hours later, boom. Suddenly, a powerful aura could be felt coming from the sky, encapsulating the entire village within it. A few figures appeared in the sky, looking majestic. They stood in the sky, emitting a dazzling light. The gods have descended, someone exclaimed. It's over. The village chief and the others turned pale, but they still knelt down respectfully. Welcome, God. Your presence brings light to our humble village. The village chief shouted. 3 heavenly humans, and the strongest is only a first-tier divine master. Lu Ming saw through the cultivation bases of the 3 heavenly humans at a glance, but he didn't take it to heart. These 3 heavenly humans had probably sensed the destruction of the statue, and were relatively close to this place. That was why they had rushed over. The heavenly humans who were further away should not have arrived so quickly. The 3 heavenly human tribe cultivators descended from the sky, and their powerful auras caused everyone in the village to tremble. In the Celestial clan, the 2 weakest cultivators had the strength of the 9th Great Supreme God layer. To the members of the Yen clan, they were extremely strong, as if they were the rulers of the world. However, there were 2 people who did not kneel. Naturally, they were Lu Ming and Haizong. The Sea sect was covered by the red fog. That kind of aura was useless against the Sea sect, and it was even more ineffective against Lu Ming. The gazes of the 3 heavenly humans naturally fell upon Lu Ming and Haizong. Huh! They exclaimed softly, as if they were surprised by what was happening to Haizong. Were you the ones who destroyed the statue just now? The first-tier divine master heavenly human asked coldly as he looked at Lu Ming. He didn't recognize Lu Ming immediately. Lu Ming had his original appearance and aura. However, These heavenly humans had been in the heavenly star area for tens of thousands of years, and they had never seen Lu Ming before. They had only heard that there was a forbidden body in the primitive universe called Lu Ming, but they didn't know what Lu Ming looked like. In the ruins of the universe, the dreamy divine jade was useless. Yes, it's them. They were the ones who destroyed the statue. They disrespected the gods and dared to destroy the statue. They deserved to die. Haifeng shouted. A ferocious look flashed across his face as he glared at Lu Ming and Haizong. How dare you disrespect the gods? Now that the gods are here, let's see how you die. I'm asking them a question. Do you have the right to interrupt? Shouting in front of us is a crime punishable by death. The first-tier divine master heavenly human coldly looked at Haifeng and extended a finger, sending out a wave of energy. Bang! Haifeng's body exploded, his body and soul annihilated. In their eyes, the Yen race was just a bug that could be killed at will. The other Yen race members were so scared that they didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Although the village chief was furious and heartbroken, he didn't dare to say a word. The gods were too powerful. Any one of them could destroy their entire world. No one could fight against the gods. They were on a completely different level. This was why the gods were so high and mighty. You dared to destroy the statue of the gods. Very well, tell me, how do you want to die? The first-tier divine master heavenly human looked down at Lu Ming, his voice cold and dignified. Unfortunately, I don't want to die. Lu Ming casually shook his head. You don't want to die? Haha, after destroying the statue of the gods, you have to die even if you don't want to. Cripple his cultivation, break all his bones, and then feed him to the 100-jointed worms. The first-tier divine master heavenly human spoke to a 9th-tier divine master heavenly human. He thought that Lu Ming was also a member of the Yen race on this continent, so he didn't take Lu Ming seriously. Moreover, before Lu Ming made a move, he could not tell Lu Ming's cultivation level at all given his cultivation level. Yes, a 9th-tier divine master heavenly human accepted the order and descended from the sky. With a flick of his finger, energy shot toward Lu Ming. These energies were aimed at Lu Ming's vital points. They wanted to cripple Lu Ming's cultivation and break all his bones. Soon these energies were about to reach him. Lu Ming took a deep breath and exhaled. Whoosh! Whoosh! A powerful force came out of Lu Ming's mouth. The attack of the heavenly human tribe's 9th-level great god realm elder was dispersed by the force of this breath. Silence. The entire place fell into a deathly silence. The heavenly human tribe members were stunned. The village chief and the others were also stunned. Especially the village chief and the others. They couldn't wrap their heads around this. An almighty and powerful deity had made a move. But Lu Ming had dispersed his attack with a single breath? How was this possible? They thought they were dreaming, so they rubbed their eyes and pinched themselves. However, reality proved that they weren't dreaming. Everything was real. The heavenly human tribe members, especially the first-tier divine master heavenly human, narrowed their eyes in fear. Even he couldn't blow away a 9th-tier divine master heavenly human's attack with a single breath. A divine master. Lu Ming was definitely a divine master. However, the Yen race on this continent couldn't possibly have a divine master. Lu Ming had come from the primitive universe. Who are you? How dare you go against the heavenly human tribe? The first-tier divine master heavenly human roared. I'm the one who's going to kill you. Lu Ming said coldly and attacked aggressively. Chapter 4582. Falling in Love with You Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Lu Ming attacked fiercely. A few dazzling spear auras burst out. Of course, they were also shockingly powerful. The 3 members of the heavenly human tribe, including the first-tier divine master, could not withstand a single blow from Lu Ming. No matter how they resisted, the outcome was the same. They were pierced by the spear gleams. Their bodies, souls, and dantians were torn apart by the destructive power. They died on the spot. Crack, crack, the eyes of the village chief and the others almost popped out. Their mouths were wide open as if something was stuck in their throats. They wanted to say something but couldn't. They could only make cracking sounds. They were so shocked that they couldn't be any more shocked. In their eyes, the god was invincible. However, in front of Lu Ming he could not withstand a single blow and was killed in one move. Who was Lu Ming? At this moment, no matter how stupid they were, they knew that Lu Ming wasn't normal. Haizong's transformation continued. Lu Ming continued to wait. The people of the village didn't dare to move anymore. At this moment, Lu Ming was more terrifying than a demon in their eyes. They were afraid that if they moved recklessly, they would attract Lu Ming's anger. Lu Ming planned to wait one more day. If Haizong hadn't finished transforming by then, he would put him into the ancient desolate ring and take him away. If he waited too long, Yiling Tianshou might come. He didn't want to put Haizong into the storage ring now because he was afraid that he would disturb Haizong's transformation. Fortunately, Lu Ming didn't have to wait that long. In just a few hours, Neptune completed its transformation. The red stone's energy had been completely absorbed by Neptune. Haizong's cultivation had reached the peak of the Void God realm. Of course, the increase in cultivation wasn't the most important thing, so it didn't attract Lu Ming's attention. What really caught Lu Ming's attention was the aura coming from Haizong's body. In the face of that aura, Lu Ming felt as if he was facing a superior or a beggar facing an emperor. Crack. Kacha. Haizong's bones emitted cracking sounds, his muscles wriggled, and his blood boiled. The exuberant aura even materialized and formed a huge figure in the air. Seeing this figure, Lu Ming's pupils suddenly shrank. This figure was too extraordinary. It was the figure of a human. He wore a crown on his head and wore a royal robe. He held a royal sword in his hand, and his eyes were like stars as he emitted a boundless might. In the face of this pressure, Lu Ming had the urge to kneel down. However, Lu Ming was not an ordinary person. He only frowned slightly and dispelled the urge to kneel. However, the rest of the villagers were not as capable as Lu Ming. They trembled, and their eyes were filled with fear as they knelt down. In the face of such pressure, they felt an instinctive fear. For example, an ordinary mystical dragon would be helpless against a nine-clawed dragon. This was the natural suppression of bloodlines. This kind of pressure, this kind of bloodline, was like a king among men. After a while, Haizong's blood qi retracted, and the figure disappeared without a trace. The terrifying pressure also disappeared. Haizong opened his eyes. Haizong, how do you feel? Lu Ming asked. This is great. I feel better than ever. I feel like I'm full of energy, as if I can't use it all up. I can fight with the gods. Haizong said. He carefully felt the power in his body and was overjoyed. Lu Ming smiled. He knew that this was Haizong's illusion. Haizong's cultivation was only in the Heavenly Emperor realm before, but he suddenly reached the peak Void God realm. The increase in strength was too high, and so it led to this illusion that he was omnipotent. After a while, or if he encountered a stronger enemy, this illusion would slowly disappear. Haizong, let me show you something, Lu Ming said, and then took out the rest shadow stone that Bone Demon had given him. Lu Ming injected forbidden energy into the stone, and an image appeared. It was the scene of the heavenly human tribe using the power of faith to cut off their lifeline. Haizong and the rock tribe were shocked. Most of them were stunned. After a while, most of the Yin tribe members were trembling in disbelief. What did they see? The high and mighty God in their hearts was actually cutting off their lifeline. The Yin tribe members, since ancient times, had ancestors from the main mountain. Their ancestors were their lifeline, so they recognized it as soon as they saw it. In their hearts, the God that could protect them and guide them was actually cutting off their lifeline. Was he going to destroy the Yin tribe? For a long time, Haizong and the Yin tribe members didn't react. Haizong, do you see it? This is the God that you used to believe in. You believed in them, they collected your power of faith, and then cut off your lifeline. Once the lifeline is cut off, the fate of your tribe will also be cut off. If you leave, you will be destroyed sooner or later. Lu Ming said loudly. On the surface he was talking to Haizong, but in fact he was talking to the Yin tribe members. How can this be? How can this be? How can this be? How can this be? The village chief couldn't accept it and kept shouting. It was not only the village chief. The other Yin clansmen were the same. They were also shouting non-stop to express the doubts in their hearts. This matter was too big a blow to them. The God that they had always believed in was cutting off their lifeline. Their faith collapsed and they were at a loss. Haizong was the same at first. Before, his faith in the god wasn't very firm, but he didn't expect it to be like this. However, he was much better than the others, and soon reacted. I see. What kind of god is this? He's simply a wolf with wild ambitions. Haizong shouted. Lu Ming didn't say much. He waved his hand, put away the breathing shadow stone, and left with Haizong. Haizong, let's go. In the blink of an eye, they were willing to leave the village. Brother Tianyan, can you tell me what's going on? Haizong asked on the way. Now he knew that Lu Ming wasn't simple. At the same time, he had more doubts in his heart that he needed Lu Ming to answer. Okay, now it's time to tell you the truth. Actually, I'm not from your world. Lu Ming said. What? You're not from our world? Brother Tianyan, what do you mean? Haizong was confused. In Haizong's mind, there was no concept of other worlds. Therefore, he couldn't understand when Lu Ming said that he wasn't from this world. Haizong, this world is very big. Your world is just a continent called the Heavenly Star Continent. In this world, there are many continents like yours, and many worlds that are even bigger than the Heavenly Star Continent. Those continents, those worlds, all kinds of living creatures live. They reproduce, they cultivate, and they are incomparably powerful. Their strength is far above your Yen tribe. Lu Ming explained in detail. Chapter 4583. Hearing Lu Ming's explanation, Haizong was truly dumbfounded. His heart was in turmoil, unable to calm down. What Lu Ming said was completely beyond his understanding. His previous worldview had been overturned. Lu Ming did not speak. He knew that this information was too unbelievable for Haizong. He needed time to digest it. After a while, Haizong gradually came to his senses. Big brother Tianyan, are you from another world? Haizong asked again. Yes. Lu Ming nodded. How is that possible? I clearly feel that your life aura is the same as that of the Yen clan. Haizong said. There are countless races in the universe. One of them is the human race. I am a human, and the Yen clan is also a human. Our life aura is naturally the same. Lu Ming smiled. Human race? We're also humans? That's not right. According to the old legends, the ancestors of the Yen clan walked out of the ancestral mountain and were born there. Could it be that you're from another world? Haizong was even more confused. That's not the case. The ancestors of the Yen clan might have been born in the ancestral mountain. As for the specifics, I'm not too sure. Lu Ming frowned. Then he said, what I'm going to tell you is about the gods. Could it be that the gods also come from another world? Before Lu Ming could finish his words, Haizong exclaimed. Lu Ming smiled. You guessed correctly. The gods you speak of are indeed from another world. They belong to another race called the Heavenly Human Race. The Heavenly Human Race came to your world to obtain the treasures of your world. The first is the Ice Fire Star Silver. The Heavenly Human Race asked the Yen clan to help them mine for the Ice Fire Star Silver. The other is Peng, who covets the treasures in the ancestral mountain. However, there is a lifeline protecting the ancestral mountain. The celestial human tribe can't enter. If you want to enter the ancestral mountain, you have to break the lifeline. However, the lifeline is indestructible. If you want to break it, you need the faith of the Yen clan. That's why they purposely transformed themselves into gods and made the Yen clan worship them. Then, they collected the power of your faith and used the power of your faith to break the lifelines. Right now, the first lifeline has already been severed. Next, the second and the third lifeline. Upon hearing Lu Ming's detailed explanation, Haizong was so angry that his entire body trembled. He roared. So that's how it is. So that's how it is. They are collecting the power of faith to cut off their lifeline and destroy the mountain of ancestors. Damn it. Despicable. Shameless. What kind of god is this? The C-Sex people were infuriated. The Flame clan had collected their power of faith, yet they wanted to cut off their lifeline. This was equivalent to the Flame clan cutting off their own lifeline. Big brother Tianyan, you're so powerful. Can you deal with the Heavenly Human tribe? Haizong looked hopefully at Lu Ming and asked. The Heavenly Human tribe was too powerful. It was not something that the Flame Clan could fight against. Lu Ming also came from another world. Now he could only place his hopes on Lu Ming. It's difficult. Lu Ming shook his head and said, according to my investigation, there are hundreds of heavenly human tribe members in the Stellar Sky continent. I can deal with ordinary heavenly human tribe members. However, the leader of the heavenly human tribe is extremely powerful. I can't even block one of his moves. What? Even Big Brother Tianyan can't block one of his moves. What should we do? What should we do? Haizong was extremely anxious. He felt a little hopeless. Could it be that he could only let the heavenly human tribe destroy their lifeline, break the Yen clan's destiny, and let the Flame Clan weaken step by step and even be exterminated? He was unwilling to accept this. He did not know why, but ever since he merged with the Red Stone, he instinctively wanted to lead the Flame Clan to prosperity and glory. He did not want to see the Flame Clan go extinct. However, the Flame Clan may have an advantage. At this moment, Lu Ming's tone changed. What advantage? Haizong's eyes lit up. After all, the Stellar Sky continent is your home ground. Since you were born here, there are some places that are advantageous to you. For example, there is a kind of light in the underground mine that is harmless to you. However, it has a terrifying attacking power to the living beings of other worlds. This is something that can be used. There is another point. The video that I showed you just now. If this video is seen by all the Flame Clan members, their faith will definitely collapse, and they will no longer believe in the heavenly human tribe. Then, the heavenly human tribe will not be able to use the power of faith to destroy your lifeline. Then the Flame Clan's destiny will not be broken. Lu Ming said. Yes, that is indeed the case. Haizong's eyes lit up. If the Flame Clan members saw the video just now, their faith would definitely collapse. In that case, the heavenly human tribe would not be able to gather the power of faith to destroy their lifeline. Right now there is a problem. That is, how are we going to let the majority of the Flame Clan members see that video? It is simply unrealistic for the two of us to go to each place one by one. I fear that the heavenly human tribe will arrive before we can even go to a few places. Furthermore, the Stellar Sky continent is so vast. The Flame Clan members are scattered all over the place. There are countless villages of various sizes. It is also unrealistic for the two of us to go there. Who knows how much time it will take? Lu Ming sighed. He had the video a long time ago. However, he had not acted upon it. This was the reason why he had not acted upon it. Unless the majority of the Flame Clan members saw the video all at once, it would be unrealistic for them to go to each place one by one. They would soon be caught by the heavenly human tribe. I have an idea. In 2 months' time, it will be the decennial ancestral worship ceremony. It is to honor the ancestral mountain that gave birth to us. It is our Flame Clan's greatest festival. All of the Flame Clan members will have to put down everything they are doing and worship the ancestral mountain. Even gods will not be able to stop them. On this day, there is no need to pray or mine. The Flame Clan members from all the villages will gather at the nearest large city to worship the ancestral mountain. When the time comes, as long as we play the video in a large city, countless people will see it, Zong said. That's a good idea. However, we will need a large number of people to play the video in all the cities at the same time. That way, even if the heavenly human tribe realizes it, it will be too late. Unfortunately, we don't have any helpers. Lu Ming sighed. We can go to the God-defying people. They can help us. Zong was very excited. God-defying people? Lu Ming was confused. That's right, God rebels. Actually, not everyone in the Yen clan believes in the gods. There are some who don't believe in the gods. They believe that the gods are fake, that they're just stronger creatures and that they're trying to enslave us. Those people are God rebels, people who go against the gods. Zong said. Oh, there are people like that? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. However, that was normal. There were people with unique vision in any world. If even a village like Zong did not respect gods and pretended to pray every time, it was normal for there to be God-defying people in the vast Stellar Sky continent. Chapter 4584. Do you know where the God-defying warriors are? Lu Ming asked. Of course I know. In fact, many people know that the god Defiance are in the deep lake abyssal abyss. That's where the god Defiance gather. It's also where I've always wanted to go. I was planning to go to the deep lake abyssal abyss after breaking through to the virtual god realm. Haizong explained. Many people know? If the heavenly human race knows, why don't they eliminate them? Wait, is that place filled with the same terrifying light as the mine? Lu Ming asked. Brother Tianyan, you're so smart. Yes, the deep abyss does have that kind of light, so the gods. But the heavenly human race can't eliminate them even if they know. They can only let them be. In fact, it's not just the deep abyss. Many places in the world have that kind of light. Haizong said. Okay. Lu Ming nodded. The more places in the stellar sky continent that had that kind of light, the better. The more places there were, the easier it would be for them to take action later. Haizong pointed the way, and Lu Ming led Haizong to the deep abyss. Lu Ming was extremely fast. They arrived at the deep abyss in less than half a day. There was a huge lake in front of them. It was said to be the largest and deepest lake in the stellar sky continent. The most peculiar thing was that the middle of the lake was divided into two halves by a huge abyss. The strange thing was that the water on both sides of the lake didn't flow into the abyss, as if it was blocked by some force. The abyss was very deep and dark. Lu Ming knew that it was the deep abyss. Let's go. Lu Ming brought Haizong and landed directly in the abyss of the deep lake. True enough, when he descended to a certain depth, that terrifying light appeared and launched a terrifying attack on Lu Ming. Qiu wriggled quickly and turned into armor to cover Lu Ming. The surface of the armor was covered with ice spark silver, which successfully blocked the light. As for Haizong, as a member of the Yen race, he was unharmed. Big Brother Tianyan is truly unfathomable. When Haizong saw that Lu Ming was unharmed, his heart shook violently. As far as he knew, the light was so terrifying that even the gods, the heavenly humans, didn't dare to touch it. That was why the god Defiance were allowed to gather there. However, Lu Ming was able to block the light that even the heavenly human tribe couldn't block. Fortunately, Lu Ming wasn't a heavenly human. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any deity Defiance. They would have been killed long ago. Very soon, Lu Ming and Haizong descended 100,000 miles and arrived at the bottom of the abyss. There was no lake at the bottom. It was very wide, and one could see caves on the walls on both sides. Lu Ming sent out his spiritual sense, and could sense the aura of many life forms. Who is it? With a cold bellow, more than a dozen figures surrounded Lu Ming and Haizong. He's from my clan. When those people saw Lu Ming and Huang Xiaolong, they breathed a sigh of relief. Evidently, he had also considered Lu Ming to be a member of the Yen clan. You two don't look familiar. What are you doing here? Did those so-called gods send you here? Asked a middle-aged brawny man. His tone was harsh, but there was no killing intent. They were all from the same clan, so they certainly wouldn't kill each other, even though Lu Ming and Haizong were under the command of the gods. While those people were sizing up Lu Ming and Haizong, Lu Ming was also sizing them up. Given Lu Ming's cultivation level with a sweep of his spiritual senses, the other party had nowhere to hide. Most of the people were at the true immortal realm. Only 3 of them were at the heavenly god realm. The one with the highest cultivation was the leading brawny man, who was at the 9th level of the heavenly god realm. With that sort of cultivation, he could be considered a top-notch expert in the Yen clan. We're here to join you. We don't believe in gods and want to overthrow them. Haizong quickly answered. You're also deities? You want to join us? The leading man asked 2 questions in a row. Yes, we are. Haizong nodded. Haha. Do you think we'll believe you just because you say that? That's right. Those so-called gods send people here every once in a while, pretending to be the deities. They just want to find out what we're up to, or even trick us into leaving. Let me tell you, it's impossible. You can leave. We won't kill you because we're from the same clan. The leading brawny man didn't say anything, but the others all shouted. We really don't believe in gods. Moreover, we know the great secret of gods. Please let us meet Enai Shen Tian. Haizong said anxiously. Enai Shen Tian was the leader of the deities. His real name was Qin Tian, but he changed it to Enai Shen Tian. On the way, Haizong introduced him to Lu Ming. Haizong's eyes lit up when he talked about him. Enai Shintian was Haizong's idol. According to Haizong, Enai Shintian was a legendary figure in this world. He had both strength and wisdom. If you want to meet Enai Shintian, you have to prove that you're deities. How about this? We'll give you a test. If you pass the test, you'll prove that you're deities, said the leading brawny man. What test? Asked Haizong. Bring it up. The leading brawny man waved his hand. Immediately, several men carried a statue out of a cave and put it on the ground with a clang. Is this a statue of a god? Asked Haizong. Yes, it's a statue of a god. If you break the statue, you'll prove that you're deities and we'll accept you, said the leading middle-aged man. Haizong was a little surprised. Not long ago, Lu Ming asked Haizong to break a statue of a god. Now he was doing it again? Lu Ming's lips curled up. He looked amused. Seeing that Lu Ming and Haizong didn't say anything, the brawny man thought that they were really sent by a god, because they didn't dare to do anything. Humph, I know you're the lackeys of those so-called gods. How dare you try to sneak in? How ridiculous. If it weren't for the fact that you're of the same race and have been bewitched by those so-called gods, I'd kill you right now, said the leading brawny man coldly. Guys, I think you've misunderstood. I was just a little surprised because I broke a statue of a god not long ago. Haizong quickly explained. He stepped forward, took out a sword, and slashed at the statue. This statue was far less hard than the one Haizong had broken in the village. The sword directly cut off the head of the statue. Lu Ming was even more straightforward. He threw a punch and shattered the body of the statue. Seeing the two of them attack, the eyes of the dozen or so deities lit up. Ha ha ha, it seems that you're all deities. You're on our side. The leading brawny man laughed. The others also smiled. Those who truly believed in the gods would never break the statues of the gods, because that was their belief. They couldn't do it even if they pretended. Chapter 45-85. Since Lu Ming and Haizong could break the statue, they must be the god-defying ones. Looks like you're one of us. All right, follow me. I'll take you to see god-defying heaven, the leader said. He then turned around and walked toward one of the caves. Lu Ming and Haizong followed him. At the bottom of the abyssal lake, there were all kinds of caves. Behind these caves was a dense network of tunnels. The god-defying ones lived there. There was a mysterious light that prevented the heavenly human tribe from coming in. They walked along one of the tunnels. Along the way, they saw more than 10 god-defying ones guarding the tunnels. All of them were heavenly gods. Soon they reached the end of the tunnel. There was a huge underground cave at the end of the tunnel. However, there were only 3 people in the cave. There was a young man in his 20s, an old man, and a middle-aged woman. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. The cultivation level of the 3 of them had reached the Divine King realm. It was the first time that Lu Ming had seen divine kings from the Yen tribe on the Stellar Sky continent. Moreover, there were 3 of them, especially the young man in the middle who seemed to be in his 20s. He was at the peak of the 9th layer of the King God realm. Such a cultivation base was not even worth mentioning in the primitive universe. However, it was incredible for the Yen tribe on the Stellar Sky continent. Greetings, leader. The burly man who led the way bowed respectfully to the young man in his 20s. Lu Ming knew that the young man was god-defying heaven. Of course, the young man looked like he was in his 20s. However, he was much older than that. According to Haizong, god-defying heaven was at least 10,000 years old. However, even if he was 10,000 years old, it was still amazing for him to reach the peak of the 9th heaven divine king realm. Moreover, the Yen tribe on the Stellar Sky continent didn't have a long history. Their cultivation history was even shorter. They couldn't be compared to the big tribes in the primitive universe. Some of the bigger forces in the primitive universe had more than 100 stellar years of inheritance. They had a perfect cultivation system, guidance from seniors, and abundant cultivation resources. However, the Yen tribe on the Stellar Sky continent didn't have any of that. They had to rely on themselves to find their way forward, overcoming all obstacles. Under such conditions, Enai Shintian could reach the peak of the 9th heaven of the God King realm in 10,000 years. He could be considered a genius of his generation. No wonder he could become a legend of the Stellar Sky continent. If this kind of person was placed in the primitive universe, with abundant resources and a perfect cultivation system, his achievements would definitely not be low. We saw your voice transmission just now. It's the two of them, right? Against the Heavenly Tao looked at Lu Ming and Haizong. It's the two of them. The two of them broke the god statues one after another. There's no way they're spies sent by the god. The man leading the way said. Yes. Against the Heavens looked curiously at Lu Ming and Haizong. His eyes were filled with surprise. From Haizong's body, he could vaguely feel a sense of pressure that made him want to submit to him. However, Haizong's cultivation level was only at the peak of the empty god realm. It was strange that Haizong could make him feel this way. What surprised him even more was Lu Ming. Because Lu Ming gave him the feeling of a bottomless pit, unfathomable. He could not detect Lu Ming's true cultivation level at all. I heard that the two of you have a big secret about the god to tell me? I'm curious. What's the secret? Against the Heavenly Tao. Actually, the so-called god is not a god at all. It's just some more powerful living beings. And they're not living beings of our world. They're living beings of the outside world. Before Lu Ming could speak, Haizong beat him to it. In front of his idol, Haizong could not stay calm. He wanted to perform well. Oh, living beings of the outside world? Are there really other worlds? Against the Heavens whispered. However, whether it was against the Heavens or the others, their expressions were normal. They were not as surprised as Haizong had imagined. Haizong thought that against the Heavens and the others would be as shocked as he was when they heard the news. But they were not. Aren't you surprised? Haizong asked. There's nothing to be surprised about. In fact, I've speculated about it for a long time. I just wasn't sure. Against the Heavenly Tao. You've speculated about it for a long time? How did you know? This time it was Haizong's turn to be surprised. It's simple. It's been a long time since our Yin clan came out of the Mountain of Ancestors. We've never heard of or recorded any information about the gods. But tens of thousands of years ago, the gods suddenly descended. It's very strange. Powerful beings like the gods, and so many of them appeared at once. It's impossible for them to appear in this world for no reason. So I speculated that there might be other higher-level worlds, and those so-called gods live in such worlds. They accidentally discovered our world, and invaded to enslave us. Against the Heavenly Tao, Haizong was dumbfounded. Lu Ming was also a little surprised. He could not help but think more highly of Against the Heavens. Against the Heavens was really not simple. His talent and wisdom were both extraordinary. But thinking about it, it made sense. Against the Heavenly Human Tribe, creating the Against the Heavenly Human Tribe and dealing with them for so many years, how could he be simple? If not for his low cultivation and insufficient strength to fight against the Heavenly Human Tribe, the Heavenly Human Tribe would have been wiped out in the Stellar Sky continent. Lord Against the Heavens, you're actually only partially right. In fact, there are many worlds in this world, and countless races live in them. Those gods are called the Heavenly Human Tribe. Haizong immediately told them everything that Lu Ming had told him. This time, Against the Heavens and the others were a little dumbfounded. Although Against the Heavens had speculated that the gods might come from other worlds, what Haizong said was really unbelievable and beyond his knowledge. It took a long time for them to react. What you said is very interesting, as if it's true. But I'm curious. How do you know all this? Did the gods tell you? Against the Heavenly Tao. It's very simple. Because I'm also from another world. At this time Lu Ming spoke. His voice was not loud, but it was like thunder in the ears of Against the Heavens and the others. Boom. 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 Against the Heavens, the old man, and the middle-aged woman all burst out with powerful auras, and their bodies also revealed a strong murderous intent. You're also from another world. You're indeed in cahoots with those gods. The old man shouted angrily. Don't be impatient. Lu Ming said with a smile. He pressed his palm, and an incomparably powerful force was produced. This force was not something that Against the Heavens and the others could resist at all. Under the pressure of this force, they could not help but sit back down in their chairs. Chapter 45-86. As for the burly man who led the way, He was forced to sit on the ground by Lu Ming's terrifying power. "You're your power?" Against the gods and the others looked at Lu Ming in horror. At this moment, Lu Ming was like a river of fire in the sky, giving them an extremely violent and terrifying feeling. This kind of aura was simply irresistible. It was as if they were facing a god. Against the gods, the old man and the middle-aged woman had seen a god with their own eyes. The aura that Lu Ming was exuding at this moment was as terrifying as a god. Could it be that Lu Ming was really one of the gods? But why was Lu Ming's life aura so similar to theirs? And why was he able to enter here? Their hearts sank, and there were still a lot of questions in their minds. "Don't worry, I'm not a member of the heavenly human tribe. On the contrary, I'm a mortal enemy of the heavenly human tribe. I'm from the human tribe. Speaking of which, the Yen tribe is also part of the human tribe," Lu Ming said, and told them in detail what he had told Haizong before. Since he needed the help of against the gods and the others, he had to make them believe in him completely. This way things would be easier later. If they had doubts in their hearts, they might fail later. After against the gods and the others heard this, they were dumbfounded and fell into deep thought. Lu Ming did not disturb them, knowing that they needed time to digest this. After a while, against the gods and the others came to their senses. "So it's a senior from the human tribe. Against the gods greets the senior." Against the gods was very straightforward. He got up and bowed to Lu Ming. "You're welcome." Lu Ming waved his hand, and a force spread out and helped against the gods up. "Senior, why are you here today?" Against the gods. "I'm here because I need your help," Lu Ming said. "You need our help?" Against the gods was a little surprised. In his opinion, Lu Ming was so powerful that he could rely on his strength to fight against the heavenly human tribe. Their strength was too weak, and the gap between them and the heavenly human tribe was too big. What help could they provide? "Before I tell you how to help, let me show you something," Lu Ming said. Then he took out the rest shadow stone and injected forbidden power into it. The image of how the celestial race used the power of faith to sever their lifeline appeared. After Enai Shintian and the others had finished reading, Lu Ming explained, "The ancestral mountain contains the lifeline of the Yen tribe, which is related to the fate of the tribe. The heavenly human tribe used the power of faith of the Yen tribe to cut off the lifeline. Damn it, damn it. Turns out the reason Celestial Clan collected the power of faith was to use it here. Their intentions are so sinister, wishing to sever our clan's fate." The old man and the middle-aged woman yelled furiously, and Aishintian's face was gloomy as well. He originally thought that the heavenly human tribe only wanted to enslave them. He didn't expect that what the heavenly human tribe wanted to do was far beyond his imagination. Severing the Yen clan's lifeline, severing the Yen clan's fate. This was an attempt to destroy the Yen clan. "We must stop the celestial race. Otherwise, our race will be in danger," Enai Shintian said in a trembling voice. "This is what I need your help with. I can make many copies of this video. As long as we can find a way to let the majority of the Yen tribe see it, their faith in the heavenly human tribe will collapse. The heavenly human tribe won't be able to continue collecting the power of faith and sever the lifeline of the ancestral mountain." Lu Ming said, "That's right. As long as the majority of the Yen tribe sees this video, their faith will definitely collapse. There is a way. In 2 months, the Yen tribe will worship the ancestral mountain. At that time, everyone will gather in the nearby big cities. We just need to play this video in public and let everyone see it." Enai Shintian's eyes lit up. "However, the Stellar Sky continent is vast and there are many big cities. Do you have enough people to act in all the big cities?" Lu Ming asked. "Yes." Enai Shintian nodded and said, "The Defying God isn't limited to the Deep Lake Abyss. We have people all over the world. They usually pretend to be believers of the gods, but they are actually defying God secretly. They are gathering information about each other. There are still 2 months before the worship of the ancestral mountain. That's enough time for us to prepare. All right, then let's get started. I'll make a lot of copies of the video as soon as possible. Haizong, you stay here. I have to leave first. I'll come to you later," Lu Ming said. After all, he wasn't a member of the Yen tribe. Although he could resist the light for a short time with Qiuqiu's protection, It was impossible for him to stay here for 2 months. After exchanging a few words with Hai Zong and Anai Shintian, Lu Ming left the deep lake abyss and went outside. He found a secret place and waved his hand. A pile of breath shadow stones appeared. Breath shadow stones weren't considered precious treasures in the primitive universe. They were common goods and everyone would carry some with them. Over the years, Lu Ming had killed so many opponents. The breathing shadow stones in his possession had long piled up like a mountain. He took out the breath shadow stone and activated the video on it. Then he controlled hundreds of breath shadow stones at the same time to record the video. Just like that, the copy of the video was complete. Lu Ming was very fast. Before long, he had copied over 10,000 breath shadow stones. This number was definitely enough. The D-Fire also started to move. Many of them set off from the deep lake abyss and scattered to every corner of the world. They disguised themselves as ordinary members of the Yin tribe and pretended to believe in gods. The heavenly human tribe would have a hard time discovering them. After copying the breath shadow stones, Lu Ming took out a desolate crystal and began to cultivate. He had obtained more than 800 desolate crystals in the ancestral mountain. He had used up 200 to break through to the second level of the Divine Lord realm, so he had more than 600 left. 600 desolate crystals definitely wouldn't be enough for Lu Ming to break through to the third level of the Divine Lord realm. Lu Ming calculated that he would need about 300 desolate crystals to break through from the first level of the Divine Lord realm to the second level of the Divine Lord realm. Then he would need at least 10 times more desolate crystals to break through from the second level of the Divine Lord realm to the third level of the Divine Lord realm. In other words, he would need at least 3,000 desolate crystals for Lu Ming to break through to the third level of the Divine Lord realm. This was only Lu Ming's estimate. He would have to see how many desolate crystals he would actually need to cultivate. However, if he refined more desolate crystals, he would definitely be able to improve his cultivation. Although refining 600 desolate crystals wouldn't help him break through to the third level of the Divine Lord realm, improving his cultivation would be of great help at a critical moment. One desolate crystal after another was refined by Lu Ming. A few days later, Lu Ming entered the deep lake abyss again, and gave the copied breath shadow stones to God-defying heaven for him to make arrangements. Now everything was ready. The heavenly human tribe wouldn't be able to continue collecting faith power once the day of the ancestral mountain arrived. Soon, all 600 desolate crystals were refined by Lu Ming. Lu Ming's cultivation reached the late second level of the Divine Lord realm. I haven't reached the peak yet. Lu Ming furrowed his brows. Chapter 4587. According to his previous calculations, 600 desolate crystals should be enough for his cultivation to reach peak second level Divine Master. In that case, 3,000 desolate crystals would be enough for him to break through to third level Divine Master. But now, the number of desolate crystals he needed for his cultivation had exceeded his own expectations. In total, 3,000 desolate crystals would not be enough for him to break through to third level Divine Master. He needed even more desolate crystals. This was not good news for him. Desolate crystals were hard to find and extremely precious. They could only be found in the universe ruins. Divine Master experts would usually refine them directly, and each piece they used was one less piece. This was because treasures like desolate crystals could only be continuously produced in the desolate continent of the previous era. The universe ruins no longer had the conditions to produce desolate crystals. This meant that one day, when the universe ruins were completely excavated and all desolate crystals were excavated, Divine Master experts would find it difficult to raise their cultivation. Without desolate crystals, first-level Divine Master would be the peak of cultivation. It would be difficult to raise one's cultivation level after breaking through. Desolate crystals, there's probably a lot of desolate crystals in the ancestral mountain. Unfortunately, I can't enter. Lu Ming sighed inwardly. He could not do what the celestial race did, and cut off the lifeline of the ancestral mountain to enter. This was equivalent to destroying an entire race. Moreover, the Yin race was also part of the human race. At worst, he could just search for desolate crystals elsewhere. Time passed quickly. 2 months passed in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming's cultivation was still at late second-level Divine Master. As for Qiuqiu, although it was cultivating with all its might, it was still at third-level Divine Master, and had not reached fourth-level Divine Master. This day was the biggest festival of the Heavenly Star Continent that occurred once every 10 years. Almost all the Yin race members had to rush to the nearby large cities to worship the ancestral mountain. This was a festival that the Yin race had passed down for dozens of stellar years. It was already ingrained in their bones and souls. Even gods could not make them give up on this festival. Moreover, this festival would only take a few days at most. Moreover, it happened once every 10 years, so the celestial race could not be bothered with it. If they meddled too much, it might affect the Yin race's faith in them. Lu Ming used the great imitation art to disguise himself as a Yin race member, and arrived at a large city near the abyssal abyss. He wanted to see if the plan was going smoothly. This big city was called Lake City. It was one of the top big cities in the entire Stellar Sky continent. On this day, all the Flame Race clansmen in the villages and towns around Lake City had gathered at Lake City. In an empty area north of Hu City, there was already a sea of people. In the center of the open space, an incomparably huge altar had already been set up. Let the ritual begin, an old man announced. Everyone knelt down, their mouths silently muttering strange words. These were the words of sacrifice. The ritual lasted for about 3 hours before it ended. Once the ceremony was over, they could disperse. Everyone wait a moment. Suddenly, a loud shout reverberated throughout the entire place. Then several figures flew up and stood in the sky. At the scene, everyone looked at these people curiously, not knowing what they were going to do. Ladies and gentlemen, there is something about the gods that I would like you to take a look at. After a middle-aged man finished speaking, a crystal stone appeared in his hand. Lu Ming recognized that this was precisely the resting shadow stone. It seemed that these people were all god-defying. The middle-aged man injected power into the resting shadow stone. Immediately, the video of the heavenly human race cutting off the lifeline with the power of faith appeared. Also, what they said at that time was clearly heard by everyone present. All the Flame Race clansmen stared at the video. Gradually, their chests heaved up and down, their bodies trembled, and their eyes were filled with confusion. After a while, the video ended. How can this be? How can this be? Are these the gods? They're destroying the mountain of ancestors. They're cutting off the lifeline of the mountain of ancestors. They asked us to believe in them and pray for them so that they can collect our power of faith and cut off the lifeline of the mountain of ancestors. How can this be? They're gods. There was an uproar. Countless people were discussing and yelling in disbelief. They felt that their faith had collapsed. It was very uncomfortable to believe in something that they had believed in all their lives. Once it collapsed, they would need time to adjust. No, that's not right. How do we know if this is true? Maybe it's fake? Are you God-defying? Are you trying to slander the gods? Someone yelled. Some die-hard fans of the gods still chose to believe in the gods. This is the video. It's absolutely true. How can we fake it? Besides, you've seen the video. Those so-called gods showed such powerful power. If that power isn't real, how can we fake it? One of the God-defying shouted. Besides, we'll know if it's fake when we go to the mountain of ancestors. Besides, when the lifeline of the mountain of ancestors was cut off, did you have a feeling that a disaster was coming? Another God-defying shouted. A feeling of a disaster? Yes, I did. It was on that day. Me too, countless people yelled. Their timing actually matched up. Almost at the same time, they had a feeling that a disaster was about to befall them. The lifeline of the mountain of ancestors is the fate of the flame race. It's connected to all of us. When the lifeline is cut off, all of us can feel it. Don't you believe me now? A God-defying shouted. His voice was heard everywhere. Lu Ming's lips curled into a smile. He knew that he had succeeded. As expected, the confusion in the eyes of many flame race members gradually disappeared. It was replaced by anger. Bullshit. What gods? They're all fake. They're lying to us. They won't lead us to prosperity. They'll only bring us destruction. I won't believe in them anymore. Me too. Let's go back and smash their statues. Countless members of the Yin clan roared and scattered like a swarm of bees. They went back to smash the deity statues. That was happening all over the Heavenly Star continent. In the giant cities on the Heavenly Star continent, countless flame race members lost their faith in the heavenly human race. They smashed the statues angrily. Yiling Tianshou and the others had been living near the Mountain of Ancestors. They were waiting to collect enough power of faith to cut off the second lifeline. At this moment, the power of faith that they had gathered suddenly disappeared without a trace. This startled all of the celestial tribe members. "What's going on? What's going on?" Yiling Tianshou yelled. "Lord Tianshou, not only did the power of faith we collected disappear, but so did the follow-up power of faith. The channels connecting us to the statues were also cut off," a 5th-level Divine Master Heavenly Human Race Elder reported. "Send someone to find out what's going on," Yiling Tianshou yelled. Chapter 4588. Soon many heavenly human tribe elites were mobilized. They spread out and flew toward the surrounding big cities. The heavenly human race soon found out the truth and reported it to Yiling Tianshou. "What? Most of the flame race saw us using the power of faith to sever the lifeline. Damn it. Lu Ming. It's that damned Lu Ming," Yiling Tianshou roared, his eyes brimming with cold killing intent. He immediately thought of Lu Ming. Lu Ming had disguised himself as Yi Chuyu and secretly entered the ancestral mountain to dig out a large number of primal crystals before escaping. It was most likely Lu Ming who had secretly recorded the scene of them severing the lifeline. He had not expected Lu Ming to play this trick and cut off the source of their power of faith. "Lu Ming, don't fall into my hands, or else I'll make you regret it." Yiling Tianshou ground his teeth, his killing intent reaching its peak. He wanted nothing more than to skin Lu Ming and chop him into pieces. "Lord Tianshou, what should we do now?" the 5th-level God Lord Elder asked. Yiling Tianshou had 2 5th-level God Lord subordinates. One of them had fought with Lu Ming in the ancestral mountain, and the other was this elder. "Kill. Immediately send experts to the Heavenly Star continent. Kill the Yin clan as soon as you see them. This continent doesn't need them anymore. I want to kill all the Yin clan members, and leave only a few of them who still believe in us. At most we'll spend 10,000 years, no, just several thousand years, and the flame race will once again spread across this continent and provide us with power of faith," Yiling Tianshou coldly said, his face cold and sinister. The 5th-level God Lord Heavenly Human Race Elder felt a chill in his heart. Yiling Tianshou wanted to exterminate all the flame race. It was impossible to count the number of flame race members living on this continent. It was in the hundreds of millions. For Yiling Tianshou to exterminate so many flame race members, his methods were truly ruthless. However, this plan was indeed feasible. As long as they exterminated the flame race and left only a few who still believed in the heavenly human race, it would be fine. It did not matter if there were none. They could leave behind a group of infants. The infants did not know what the heavenly human race had done, but with some guidance, they would become loyal believers. Once these infants grew up, they would continue to reproduce. In a few thousand years, the race would spread across the continent and provide them with an endless supply of power of faith. It was just an extra few thousand years. To them, a few thousand years was nothing. "Remember, don't waste the blood of the Yin clansmen. Collect all of it and bring it back," Yiling Tianshou continued ordered. Yes, the 5th-level God Lord Heavenly Human Race Elder went to carry out the order. However, Lu Ming had long expected this move from Yiling Tianshou. Therefore, he had already discussed countermeasures with God-defying heaven. When the faith of the Yin clansmen crumbled, they would arrange for people to lead the Yin clansmen to a nearby place where they could hide. For example, the 36 mines could hide a large number of flame race clansmen. There was that type of light in the mine, so the celestial race couldn't enter. As long as they hid inside, they would be safe. Tianshou Ming Tianshou also had some underground caverns like the Abyss Lake. There were many underground caverns like the Abyss Lake in the vast Heavenly Star continent. Some of the underground caverns were extremely huge, like an underground world. These underground caverns were filled with terrifying light, and were the best hiding places for the flame race. These huge underground caverns could hold a shocking number of people. Before the people from the heavenly human clan arrived, many people from the Yen clan had already entered those hiding places. As a result, the people from the heavenly human clan arrived empty-handed. However, not all of the flame race members had managed to hide in time. The heavenly human race changed their plan when they found nothing. They sped up their search. Many flame race members still fell into the hands of the heavenly human race. Lu Ming also returned to the Abyss Lake to meet up with Tianxiu Ming Tianxiu. How was it? Did the plan go smoothly? Lu Ming asked after seeing Tianxiu Ming Tianxiu. All in all, it went smoothly. Most people's faith collapsed after seeing the video. Then we arranged for them to be transferred to the hiding places that the heavenly human race couldn't enter. However, there were still a few people who were loyal to the heavenly human race who didn't want to believe us. They still chose to believe in the heavenly human race. There were also some who didn't manage to hide in time and were captured by the heavenly human race. But all in all, we still won. Tianxiu Ming Tianxiu. Lu Ming nodded. Only a few people fell into the hands of the heavenly human race. He believed that they wouldn't be able to cause any trouble. It was fine as long as most of the flame race members were still alive. Even if the heavenly human race continued to instill ideas in their descendants, most of the flame race members were still alive. They could go out from time to time and show the flame race members the video. Naturally, their faith wouldn't be firm. Later, it would be difficult for the heavenly human race to absorb the power of faith. Overall, their plan was a great success. Next, Lu Ming stayed in the abyss of the deep lake. He didn't plan to leave the heavenly star continent for the time being, because he hadn't finished digging out the ice fire star silver. Lu Ming planned to stay here first and let Qiuqiu dig out the ice fire star silver. He would leave when it was almost done. Yiling Tianxiu definitely had a large amount of ice fire star silver in his hands. However, Lu Ming wasn't a match for him. He really couldn't snatch it. However, Lu Ming didn't plan to inform Fei Huang. He also had his own selfish motives. Yiling Tianxiu and the others' goal was the Mountain of Ancestors. They definitely wouldn't leave in a short time. When the time came, he would leave the Stellar Sky continent first and go to other places to adventure and improve his cultivation. When his cultivation improved, he would come back and kill Yiling Tianxiu. Then, wouldn't the huge amount of ice fire star silver on Yiling Tianxiu become his? Yiling Tianxiu really didn't know how much ice fire star silver he had. According to Qiuqiu's estimation of the size of the mines, Yiling Tianxiu definitely had more than 500 kilograms of ice fire star silver on him. 500 kilograms of ice fire star silver was enough to refine thousands of source-level divine weapons. This was an unimaginably huge resource. Lu Ming naturally wasn't willing to give up easily. Qiuqiu secretly went to mine, and Lu Ming cultivated in the Abyss Lake while waiting. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. On this day, an uninvited guest came to the Abyss Lake. He was sent by the celestial race. This person was a middle-aged burly man. Clearly, he was a die-hard fan of the celestial race and was loyal to the celestial race. In the vast Stellar Sky continent, there were countless Yen clan members. It wasn't surprising that there were some such people. When this person came, he specifically asked to see Lu Ming. "See me." Lu Ming's eyes flashed, and he came to an empty underground space in the Abyss Lake. At this time, there were already many people in this underground space. There were at least hundreds of people from Defying God Sky, Sea Sect and others. In the crowd, a middle-aged burly man stood proudly. Chapter 4589. How dare you defy the gods? Don't you know that this is a serious crime? The gods will punish you sooner or later to make you repent. The middle-aged man said loudly, looking high and mighty. What bullshit gods? Don't you know that those so-called gods want to use our power of faith to cut off the lifeline of our race? How dare you believe in them? An old man roared. So what? As the people of the gods, it's only right to make some sacrifices. It's our honor to be able to sacrifice for the gods. The middle-aged man said. Shameless. Many of the deities looked angry. The middle-aged man was hopeless. What's your purpose here? Against the way of the gods. I'm here to see Lu Ming. I have something to show you. The middle-aged man said. I'm right here. At this moment, Lu Ming spoke and strode over. He's really Lu Ming. He used an alias before. Against the gods, and the others were surprised. Lu Ming didn't tell them that was his name. However, they didn't say much despite their doubts. What do you want to show us? Show us. Lu Ming said. Well, since everyone is here, let's take a closer look. The middle-aged man said, and a crystal appeared in his hand. A shadow stone. Lu Ming recognized it at a glance. The shadow stone glowed, and an image appeared in the air. It was a heavenly human in the image. Yiling Tianxiu. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. The person in the image was Yiling Tianxiu. Yiling Tianxiu's face was gloomy and full of murderous intent. Lu Ming, I know you're behind all this, but do you think I can't cut off the lifeline and enter the mountain of ancestors just because you cut off the source of my power of faith? How naive. Let me show you something good. Yiling Tianxiu said, and the image changed to another place. There was a huge crater here, and the surroundings of the crater were densely packed with runes. Some heavenly human tribe members were standing around the crater. They were holding some flame tribe members in their hands. With a wave of his hand, the heavenly human celestial tossed the Yin clan members into the deep pit. Immediately, miserable shrieks came from the deep pit. A bloody mist filled the air before it was sucked back into the pit. At that moment, the video started moving again. It moved towards the deep pit. Slowly, the scene inside the deep pit appeared in the video and in front of everyone. Some of the deities vomited when they saw what was in the pit. Even Enai Shantian and the others had ugly expressions on their faces. Many of them were trembling with anger. The scene in the deep pit was too terrifying. Those were all flesh and blood, the flesh and blood of the Yin clansmen. It was clear that a spirit formation had been set up in that deep pit. Once the people from the Yin clan were thrown into it, they would immediately turn into flesh and blood. In the middle of the flesh and blood, 3 weapons were stabbed into the ground. They seemed to be refining the power of the flesh and blood of the flame clansmen, turning incomparably red. At this moment, the scene changed again, and Yiling Tianxiu reappeared. Did you see that? I am using the flesh and blood of the Yin clan to refine weapons. Actually, let me tell you a big secret. To cut off the lifeline of the ancestral mountain, not only the power of faith is useful, but the flesh and blood of the Yin clan members are also useful. If you refine the flesh and blood of the Yin clan members into the weapons, you can still cut off the lifeline. Lu Ming, you might be curious why I didn't use the flesh and blood of the Yin clan members to cut off the lifeline in the past. That's because even if I killed all the Yin clan members on the continent, there might not be enough to cut off 9 lifeline. That's why I decided to collect the power of faith first and cut off the lifeline. After cutting off 4 or 5 lifeline with the power of faith, I will use the flesh and blood of the Yin clan members to cut off the lifeline. That's the only way to be foolproof. Ha ha ha. Having said that, Yiling Tianxiu laughed maniacally. Damn it, damn it. Despicable heavenly human tribe, I'm going to kill them. I'm going to kill them. The other people from the Yin clan roared angrily. Their eyes were bloodshot, and they were about to explode from anger. They couldn't wait to fight the heavenly human tribe. Don't be rash. Against the god of heaven roared and stopped everyone. Lu Ming, did you see that? Although most of the people from the Yin clan have gone into hiding, we still managed to capture many of them. There are no less than a few 100 million of them. The flesh and blood of these people will be used to refine weapons. It's enough to sever a lifeline. Haha. Don't you want to save them? Come on, come to the ancestral mountain and save them. Yiling Tianxiu said, and the screen dimmed. Apparently, that was the end of the recording. Let's go to the ancestral mountain. At most, we'll fight to the death. It's better to die fighting than to live like a coward. Let's go. The other deity Defiance roared and became restless. They couldn't wait to attack the mountain of ancestors. You can't go. Lu Ming shouted. Why can't we go? Do we have to watch our compatriots being killed, and their flesh and blood refined? That's right. The heavenly human tribe is too despicable. We can't stand it. At most we'll die. Everyone shouted. Idiots. Lu Ming shouted. What did you say? Everyone glared at Lu Ming. If they weren't afraid of Lu Ming's strength, they would have rushed forward and fought with Lu Ming. Everyone, calm down. Don't be rash. The defiant god yelled. The defiant god had a high prestige among the defiants. Everyone quieted down after he spoke. I know you're not afraid of death, but have you ever thought that you'll only add more flesh and blood to the heavenly human tribe and cut off more of their lifelines? Lifelines are related to the fate of the Yin clan. Cutting off more lifelines will only lead to the extinction of the Yin clan. Are you trying to destroy the Yin clan? Lu Ming's cold voice resounded. All the defiants were frightened. Their faces turned pale, and they broke out in cold sweat. Yes, Lu Ming was right. They weren't afraid of death, but once they went to the ancestral mountain, they would only add more flesh and blood to the heavenly human tribe and cut off more lifelines for the heavenly human tribe. That would be indirectly helping the heavenly human tribe destroy the Yin clan. They were scared and almost made a big mistake. Meanwhile, the defiant god looked terrible. He said, Senior Lu Ming, if the heavenly human tribe can send people here, they can also send people to other places. If other people see this, they might rush to the ancestral mountain in a fit of anger. His words caused the complexions of the other Yin clansmen to turn deathly pale. Yes, in the other underground caves and the 36 mines, there might not be such clear-headed people stopping them. If the flame race people there saw such a scene, they would probably be incomparably angry, lose their minds and charge towards the ancestral mountain. Then, the heavenly human tribe would have a lot of flesh and blood of the Yin clan to cut off their lifelines. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.